Hello and welcome back to the Automatic Pack podcast, episode 28. These braces, I'm telling you, um, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Twitch, Vine, TikTok before it goes away and banned in the U.S. and MySpace. Where else? Where else, Josh? Where else could you
I
find
think
us?
you covered everything right there.
We
I'm just
cover
gonna
everything.
ask, do you
Yes,
have a script that you wrote down just so you could repeat that every single week? Because I seen you look over at something.
I am cheating, but I don't have a script. If
Because
that makes any sense.
I was like, did you already like pre-write your intro and you're like, that's my template for the year?
It is the template for sure. No, I think it's a template because no, you could argue with me, which is totally fine, but I feel like it works.
I have no problem with it.
There you go. So exactly. So with that said, that is all the platforms you can find us on. Apologize for my because sometimes it just happens.
Oh, it happens to the
Um,
best of us.
it happens to the best of us. But yes, feel free to follow us on any of those platforms, if not all. Leave comments on our previous podcast, today's podcast, future podcasts. Throw us all your monies. No, just kidding. But if
Eh,
you like to, we're not going to deny it. And all that said, Josh, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Enjoying a very nice day. It was cold yesterday, but it was nice today. So, doing well.
Nice. Very good. I also failed to do my template introduction and mention I am the real Shiesty, and I'm here with Josh Kess. You could find us also both on Twitter, and we both stream on Twitch as well with those handles. That should have been part of my template, but I
Yes,
missed
we
it.
stream every Friday, 6 p.m. on both channels for the Odd Man Podcast. But after that, we stream separately with our own games. So the Real Shiesty does World of Warcraft and other weird Japanese anime games, which he doesn't like anime. And I stream competitive games, I guess, right now.
For the interim. With that said, for those that don't have the luxury of viewing us live, for whatever reason, we're both sporting new hairdos. Um, it was just, I guess it was just that time. I actually have, it wasn't really a clear edit motive, but I actually submitted and expedited an application for a passport today, first time in my life. So you may be asking yourself, well, what are you getting a passport for?
I was gonna
That is
ask, but
going
I felt like you're going with that already.
that is going to remain a mystery. I'm excited as to what my potential plans are.
You
I'll
gonna go
leave it as
fight in
that.
Ukraine?
But is that why I got the haircut?
Getting ready for the
But
military.
but I don't want to get too ahead of myself because I might not even use it. No, I'll probably use it eventually, but I'm trying to hopefully put together something uh, that will take place in a few months. So with that said, we will see.
So wait, why is there a reason why you can't talk about what you have planned or what you're trying to
I
plan?
just I just don't want to jinx it. That's why. Because like
Well,
me just submitting, it sounds silly. I know it sounds silly, but the plans aren't fully together yet. My part is I need to get a passport. That's step one.
it's funny.
So
There's two sides of this. People don't like to say it because they're afraid to jinx it, and there's other people
mhm.
that want to say it to put it out there so it gets like actual, some kind of manifestation going on.
So some good jinx.
Yeah,
A good jinx. Yeah, no, I'm gonna leave it tabled for now. But hopefully in the coming weeks, it could be solidified, and then I'll be happily to share what those plans are.
I just pictured you going to like the Philippines and just buying a wife and coming back. You're like, I'm married.
You know what? I'm sure a lot of people may have that thought process, but I'm not gonna say yay or nay on that.
I've actually played with somebody online that went down a really dark rabbit hole for a while where he like actually bought two wives from another country and they came here and they got their green card and all that stuff and they left him and he was like upset. I'm like, what did you think was gonna happen? That's what they
Yeah,
wanted to do. They even
yeah,
probably told
exactly.
you what was gonna happen.
Except in their language, and you're just like, uh-huh.
You love me
They
long
thought
time,
it was
okay.
okay. That is that is interesting. I've never ventured into that rabbit hole. I know those websites exist. Um, but yeah, no. I guess I'm as depressed as I may get at times.
No, no bot
I,
wives.
I I have not done that. Maybe give me 5 more years. But yeah, so that was my big thing today that I had to get done, and we'll see what happens. Other than that, I'm just kind of enjoying gaming. We briefly talked about it, or you mentioned it before we actually went live on our podcast, and you're trying to get it out of me, and I said no, I'm going to save it for the podcast. Question was, are you finished with Octopath? And the answer is no, I am not finished with Octopath.
You hate it. You dropped it. You deleted it from your system.
No, absolutely not. No, it is a fan fucking tastic game. It's I think I might have said this last week too, but I'm gonna just reiterate it. It is better in every which way possible than the first one, which I love the first one.
But it's not better than the mobile game.
Actually, uh, that one is still a little tough to say. Like the storytelling is probably almost on par, if not equal. But to the storytelling point, which really got me giddy, because I'm like really at the end, so to speak. I just gotta now do some grinding because, dare I say, I got my ass kicked. But I just need to do a little bit of grinding to get my characters leveled up, and I don't want to like spoil anything for that fight. But the thing about the first game, and I don't know if you recall me telling you, but the reason why I enjoyed it so much was once again with the storytelling, but like the main bad guy per se, or the last boss of the game, they did that storytelling through like side quests, and it was very like you had to piece it together. Now I kind of appreciate that. A lot of people disliked it, but I thought it was kind of interesting and cool. However, in this game, they still do that format, but they're not as cryptic about it. So they did a very good job with tying it together for you with the storytelling, and I'll leave it as that. So I thought it was really cool. I once again highly recommend it to any RPG fan out there, especially those that probably grew up in the SNES era and stuff like that, and enjoy those games. It is top notch. Top notch. So with that said, I'm on the cusp of the end. I'm over 80 hours in, I think.
So when you
I just had over 80 hours in.
when you say you're at the end, does that mean you didn't beat the main story, or you're 80% done with the platinum?
So no, I'm not. I'm not done with platinum. I will not be done with platinum even if I beat this boss.
Okay, so you're just done with the
So
main story.
yeah, kind of. So like once again, don't want to spoil too much, but I guess I'll just go ahead and say this. So every character kind of has their own main story through chapters, right? And then after that, there was kind of like combo stories with the characters. So there's 8 characters total, and then they combine like two, gave them additional a little bit more story. And then after all that's done, they did something called extra story time, and they brought all the characters together for like one like last hurrah story, and that's kind of where I'm at. And I just thought that was like for me a little bit amazing. It sounds silly because like you get that in most traditional RPGs anyway, right? Like your Final Fantasies of the world and stuff. So like, but since Octopath has a different model, so to speak, the fact that they did that in this game, I thought was pretty badass. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I don't think it's the final boss of the game. I think there's still like a secret final boss, but this is the last one with the story. So, or so I think. I truly don't know. I'm just assuming now. But yeah, it's been pretty cool. I've enjoyed every second of it, and I streamed every second of it. Um, and I may continue that after our podcast today, just to do some level grinding. We'll see.
Will this weekend be the final push?
Uh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think so. I think I'll finally have it locked up. Now, the platinum aspect, we'll see. I have to figure out what it is I need to do. Um, there's only 33 trophies. I don't know if that's a lot considering, or I feel like that's a little.
That's average.
Oh, that's average. Okay. Um, I don't know how many I've done, but I feel like I have the bulk of them done because most of them was just story related, like finish the end chapter for every character, blah 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 blah. So I'm feeling like I'm pretty much almost there.
At least you don't have to collect 603 collectibles.
That's very true. What was that, Hogwarts, right? You said?
Yes, and a
Yeah.
couple of them are glitched. Luckily, if you do some reload tactics, you get them, but
Mm.
collectibles suck.
Yeah. So to your point, like yesterday, I did stream some WoW, and I did stream on Monday as well. I think it was Monday or Sunday. I'm losing track of my days as always. Um, and the day I did, the other day except for yesterday, I came back and played. I actually got 2 more mounts, so I'm at 899 account-wide mounts, which is pretty mind-blowing. And yeah, now I'm doing the grind for my 900th mount. I'll be in the 900 mount club, which is a wow factor, but at the same time, pretty sad because that's me as the collector.
So what's gonna be your 900 mount or 900th mount?
The 900th mount is going to be, or at least I'm intending it to be. It's called the Drake of the North Wind. It drops.
Wait, you
in
don't have that one
dungeon.
yet?
I do not have that one yet, which is why I want I want it to be my 900th mount.
I wish I could trade it to you because I've actually had it drop twice.
Oh Jesus Christ!
The first one was in Wrath of the Lich King. I
No,
got my
no. That's a Cataclysm mount.
Drake. Oh, is it the one from that wind dungeon?
Yeah, Vortex Pinnacle.
Okay. Well, I got that up pretty early too, but I thought for some reason in my mind I thought it was the Wrath of the Lich King one because I got that one on my second try.
Wrath of the Lich King one. Which?
The one with the blue dragon you get from a dungeon.
Oh, the blue Proto Drake. That's
Yeah.
on. I think that's Utgard Pinnacle. So they both have pinnacles in their names.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one I have. I got that one. I think during the expansion, maybe I can't remember, or at least one after it. But yeah, this one's been the one that just won't drop for me. So, but the good thing is I don't have to wait once a week or whatever to do it. Like I could keep killing it and killing it and killing it. But at the same time, the monotony can
Wait, they
cause
lifted the lock?
fatigue or be born. Huh?
They lifted the lock on dungeons? I thought it was only
No. Yeah, you still get capped at 10, which takes me about like 25 minutes. So that's the part that sucks. It's like, I mean, in theory, I could farm to my heart's content, but I have like a 30-minute cooldown. So it's like, okay, I could do this, and I'm kind of locking myself where I don't want to farm other mounts because I kind of really want this to be my 900th. So yeah, it's kind of like I'm making it my own personal hurdle.
Well, at least that dungeon is relatively quick. Like, it's not a long one.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that's really been my gaming. Not as much as changed the last couple of weeks, but it probably will change here momentarily. I did play a little bit of Pokemon before the podcast to get the new Terra raid done. So I did that.
And you got a shiny Sphinx? So Shinx,
I did get a shiny
whatever?
Sphinx, yes. My first shiny in open world, which I had to do like a double take because I'm like, is that shiny or is that just another random Pokemon just chilling with the Sphinxes? And I'm like slowly creeping up. I'm like, no, it is a shiny. And then I was very, very like trying not to kill it because I sent out my Pokemon to kill the ones around it. And I was like, please don't kill it. But it worked out. I got it. So just one quick ball, caught it, done.
How do you feel about shinies in the new game? Because I know that was your first shiny, but you don't utilize like the actual methods to catch it.
Correct.
I feel like shiny hunting has almost gotten too easy, where it's no longer a feel good moment. Like, when you catch your first shiny, when it was difficult, like it took so long. Now it feels like you get one every 10 minutes.
Well, the days of soft resetting your game to get a shiny, I never really got into that. Like,
well, this isn't soft resetting. This is where
no.
you get mass spawn.
I'm building towards my answer.
Okay, because I just want to say there's two different methods.
So that old school method, like I wasn't really a fan of. So now this new method where you make me a sandwich and go catch shinies is very interesting. I'm sure there's more to it than just that, but I think it's like I agree with you. It probably is not as rewarding, but I understand why it exists. There's so many Pokemon, and those that gotta catch them all, and then to also compete with how easy it is to get shinies, in my opinion, in Pokemon Go. Like you can't I feel like you can't let the console one suffer anymore. I still would say it's a lot easier to get them in Pokemon Go. Um,
Not in this new
yeah,
game, man.
yeah. You talked about your struggles. That's true. Oh, speaking of which, tomorrow is
Struggles.
Community
What
Day.
struggles?
You said like the Go
Oh
Fest
yeah,
that
yeah.
you. Yeah, yeah,
But that's like Go Fest. Everything else, like the community day gets shinies all the time. I'm talking
yeah.
about like I don't think you realize how insane the sandwich method is. Like you get shinies galore. Sometimes 5 shinies pop at once.
Mm.
Like it's insane. Like the egg
So
hunting was easier, or sorry, the egg hunting was easy, but the sandwich one is just super easy. It's like game on easy mode plus, um, 30 spawns at once. Most likely in that spawn you'll get one shiny every time.
okay, so you're telling me then it's much easier in console than Go
Yes.
currently by
Oh,
far.
way easier.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I'm not against it. Like I said, we're actually, to me, I'm actually surprised at this point they don't have like a rare item similar to like the ability capsule or the gold bottle cap where just fucking turn it into a shiny. Um,
Well,
I'm
well,
surprised
they
that
kind
doesn't
of have
exist.
it, but it's not where it turns into a shiny. It increases your odds. It's called the shiny stone
Yeah, shiny charm.
or shiny
I
charm.
mean,
Yeah,
they've been having that in like all the games, but it
yeah.
doesn't really help much.
Oh, dude,
Um,
they cut the progress down in like half. Like it goes from
well,
like 1 in 1,000 to like 1 in
yeah,
500.
I I know, but still, that's like when you're doing the soft resets, like for legendaries, that still doesn't help much.
I'd rather give 500 less resets.
That's true. The only one that I kind of really do want to still go back and do the soft reset for is I think it's the re-release of Diamond and Pearl, if memory serves me correct, where that is currently the only legitimate way to get a shiny Arceus, I think.
I don't know.
But I
I
would
still
have to
haven't
beat
played
the
them.
game first.
I
Yeah, I
haven't
still
played
have
them.
it too, and I think I just like started it and maybe did like a mystery gift for something, and that was it. Like I didn't play it through. I don't like the chibi stuff. It just like turns me off.
Chibi.
Yeah, that's the game that it has like the chibi graphics, right?
Uh,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does.
I guess it does.
Because I don't think you get a shiny Arceus in Legends of Arceus. I think it was that game was the one that people were getting it. So,
That's another game I need to get to.
huh?
I said Legends of Arceus is another game I need to get as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I played the shit out of that one. Like, oh man, like Scarlet and Violet, like it was fun, but it didn't keep me invested. I don't know if it's maybe because I'm just, dare I say it this way, kind of grown out of Pokemon
Well,
as a whole,
you and I
or
are fans
or
of Pokemon. We're just not fanatics with Pokemon. We play it in a healthy way. We play whenever there's a big update. We get the new Pokemon. We complete our decks. We move on. We don't need to stay
that's
on it.
true. But I've invested. I would have to go back and check actual times, but I've invested a lot more time in Sword and Shield than I've done in Scar, hands down. And especially Legends of Arceus. I don't know what my playtime was, but I streamed that and I played the shit out of it. I didn't go and catch every Pokemon, but pretty damn close to it.
I wonder what game had a longer playthrough because like I think it took me like 30 hours to play through the like from start to finish Sword and Shield. I think it took me like 25 hours to do Scarlet and Violet, but Scarlet and Violet felt like it had more content in it though. But I guess that's what you get when you're able to do the events out of order, and then eventually the ones that you get out of order, you can
Yeah.
blow through because you went the wrong way.
Yeah, and that's kind of what happened to me, and I don't know if that kind of like took away from it because like Sword and Shield was still pretty linear, um, versus Scarlet and Violet were not, which I was kind of looking forward to that, but then at the same time, if you do go off path like exactly what I did, not intent, uh, it wasn't my intent, but since I did, then I left. I was at a point where I was grinding a little bit, but I was like it wasn't really feeling like I was grinding anyway because like I was just so happy I was exploring.
Mm.
So it was just like really organic, and then the next thing beat that leader, and then after that it was like mowing the lawn. Like everything just died so quickly, and it kind of did take away from it, I guess.
Yeah, because that was my thing. Because like when you start, I chose like the right path or whatever. Because I guess you know, uh, I forgot whoever your rival is goes one way, the other guy goes the other way. So I was like, let me go this way, and then I thought it was just gonna naturally progress this ladder, but no, it went from level 10, 15, level 30. I'm like, okay, well
Yeah,
this is a good challenge.
yeah.
40, good challenge, and then went back to level 10. I'm like, what the hell just happened?
I think if they like figured out how to like do like the dynamic leveling
It
in
should
which
just be
like
level skill. That's what it
yeah,
is.
exactly, where it scaled, I think that would have kind of resolved it. And definitely probably would have made it a lot more challenging. But maybe it's something they'll learn for the next one. I don't know. I'm sure, I'm pretty sure people are still enjoying the hell of it. I wonder when they'll release the next update for the sales. But I know initially, like the sales were outrageous, like ridiculously outrageous. So it'll be interesting to see where it's at now, or whenever they do release it again. But other than that, I feel like I took a lot of that time to talk about myself and gaming. How about you?
So I know last week I talked about waiting for a controller coming in. I finally got it. It's right here. I got the paddles and everything, little
Ooh,
adjustable triggers,
sexy.
and I've been enjoying this thing
Wait,
quite a
is
bit.
that is that the charger? And
So yes, so this
it's a
thing,
big ass charger.
no. The cord is a normal USB-C thing, but this thing
Okay.
locks it in place. So if I take this off, or hold on, let me unlock it. So it just clamps it onto your controller, but I could take this whole thing off the charger. The reason why I have this is because when you plug this into your controller, it basically turns into a wired controller. So that means it has
Hmm.
less latency input and all that stuff.
Gotcha.
And then also just in case if like an animal comes in, they don't yank it out by accident, which I'm happy. Also, by the way, I want to acknowledge a comment. Somebody asked about my chair, why it's like that. When you have a cat that likes to scratch things, they will do that to your stuff, especially if it's leather.
Yeah.
So
Me, no kitty cat.
yeah, I have a cat and she likes to climb up on things, and that's why also I need to get braided cables because she doesn't like to eat braided cables. Anything else she'll eat.
That's
But
good.
been playing a lot of Call of Duty, a lot of Destiny. Also today is a sad day because a person, basically one of the staple characters in Destiny, Lance Reddick, passed away. So feels bad about that. I'm gonna honor him in the tower today. But yeah, those are the two games I've been playing. But dude, with this new controller, Call of Duty feels so much easier.
Nice. So have you immediately felt, I'm assuming you immediately felt that impact, and like have you seen or automatically feel like that level of your play increase and get better?
Yes. So
Yes.
my gun skills was always good. The only time I would lose something is if I'm like rushing somebody and they could jump around the corners while I still had to, move naturally. Now that I can jump with them, I feel like I can counter more gunfights that I couldn't before, and it makes me feel happy.
Cool. Nice. That's awesome. Uh, I also, well, I had a toy for many months. Um, Gaming related, but it's not a gaming accessory like your controller. Um, and I finally got around of kind of building it this week. Actually, I brought it up last week for Mario Day. That's when I started building it, and I'm very satisfied at the size of this particular model. And for the benefit of those that cannot see it on stream, I am showing off my Lego Bowser that I made, and he's like really super cool. I think it's just shy of a foot tall. He does have a projectile. I don't want to break my camera here, but there we go. He shoots out fireball.
It's funny.
Only
The whole thing looks cool except for the eyes. The eyes look very derpy.
well, well, it could be more derpy when they're like
Like it just looks so weird. Like everything else looks great except for the face part. It looks so
Hey
weird.
boss, what you need, boss?
How you
He's answering to
doing?
he's answering to Goombas, or do them the other way.
Oh my god! I didn't even notice.
Yeah, no, if they're not in a good place, yeah, it definitely does look derpy as shit.
Hey
But
guys.
you guys. But yeah, I think they did a really good job with this. The detail of it is pretty nice.
The shell's pretty impressive. A lot of
Yeah,
detail in that.
yeah. So very happy with that purchase. Other than that, Trying to think of anything else during the week. Oh, yeah, that's what I forgot to do in the intro. Happy St. Patty's Day to anybody and everybody out there. That's why I'm wearing my
Today's St.
green
Patrick's
shirt.
Day.
Yeah, today's St. Patty's Day. So,
Speaking of which, did you know that St. Patrick is not Irish?
you know what? I probably did, but forgot about it. Just like, people that get drunk today and black out, it's like, yeah.
I love that, St. Patrick's Day, people like to celebrate with a whole lot of, I guess, Irish attitude, but for some reason, most of the stuff that you celebrate St. Patrick's with isn't even Irish. So it's like, what are you really celebrating? It's
Exactly.
so weird,
It's
but I love it.
yeah. hmm
But yes,
I
happy
think
St.
it's
Patrick's
I
Day,
think it's like
Casey.
the only one that gets that treatment. I mean, not even Cinco de Mayo gets that bad. And I know that was like the fear with like Juneteenth as well. Like they're like, oh God, how is this gonna get butchered in the years to come?
Well, I
Um,
don't think people ever butcher June 13th or Juneteenth because, yeah, let's just say cancels happen or they don't care enough.
well, I mean, it's also in regards to it being a federal holiday, it's new, right? I mean, it just started last year, I want to say. Um, so I mean, there's time. In the world of TikTok, there's time. Um, but yeah, St. Patty's Day is obviously just a big. Everybody, let's get drunk and wasted. And I mean, I'm sure I've had a day in the past where I've celebrated in that manner, but now it's like, just another day. Although I'm wearing the cool shirt today.
I'm trying. I used to celebrate holidays more hardcore, like, but it was only because I got to see parades live. As soon as I stopped seeing
Mm,
parades, I no longer
hmm
cared about holidays.
Well, they got rid of the Southside Parade. How many years ago? Like that's something that they banned. Like
What
maybe
they
about 10 years ago.
what they need to ban is turning the river green because they try to use some kind of like extreme like green dye for the river. But I'm like, the
hmm
river's already so green you can barely tell.
It's a different shade of green. Come on, let's be honest.
I'm just like, it's like, oh, you're just adding green on green. It's like, oh, that's really cool. Maybe if the water was blue, you could see more of an effect. But I'm
I
like, it's
think
pretty
I
bad.
think I would have to go back and check, but I think when the Cubs won the World Series, they did do it blue.
Did they?
I think so.
A blue one
And
would be
everyone was like,
cool.
"Oh my God, that's what the blue the blue river looks like."
We finally see blue. Actually,
Uh,
speaking of which, I think it was yesterday. I can't remember exactly what happened, but there's like people do like the bear crawl or bar crawl where they go along a whole bunch of bars and just drink
mhm.
themselves silly. There was a
Yeah.
guy that was walking the bridge and accidentally tripped on his shoelace and fell over the bridge, and they had to rescue him. And
hmm
apparently, what happened is I don't know. This was on the news, and apparently, what happened is when he fell, he missed two boats like going across each other at the river. So I wonder
Yeah,
if
if he
that
would have hit the boat,
guy's
he probably would have been dead.
yeah, but it was just like they're both crossing at the same time. He just like dropped
He
right
was like,
between them. So
then,
I would have loved to be on one of those boats because these were like what was it called? Those like travel boats where they had people on it that you paid and go around the river. I'm like, I wonder what their reaction was just seeing a guy fall right between both of them.
I mean, if it was me, I'd be shocked. If I was already drunk and buzzed, I'd be like, "Holy shit!" Probably, maybe even laugh, and that sounds horrible. But when you're drunk, um,
The reason why I'm laughing is because the guy's okay. He just fell into the water. He's not hurt. But
yeah.
I'm like, I couldn't imagine being on one of the boats and just seeing like a guy fall right between them. We're all just looking at each other. It was like, did somebody just fall?
Um, kind of like an odd segue here, but like I've never been down there for that activity. But one thing that I would like to do, and I looked into it briefly this year, and I just didn't do it, and I think it already passed. Is the polar bear plunge? I
Oh,
would
the
like to
polar
do that one
plunge.
year. Yeah, the polar bear plunge. I would like to do that.
Do they call it
It
the
just
polar bear?
it's,
I thought it was just called the polar plunge.
is it, maybe it is just a polar plunge. I thought it was a polar bear plunge.
Because all you do is you just jump in ice cold water. You jump in like the lake when
It's
it's
the
cold.
lake. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. For charity.
We gotta look
But
this
there's
up.
like
Is it the polar bear plunge or the polar plunge? I think it's the
I thought.
polar plunge.
Go ahead, look it up. I thought it was a polar bear, but you could be right. It could be just no bear.
Oh, I thought this was. in other places, I didn't realize Chicago actually had. Yeah, it's called the Polar Plunge,
Okay.
but I'm
So
gonna
no
call it the
bear.
Polar Bear
You're
Plunge.
gonna call for coined it. Yes. But I would like to do that. Like there's certain charity things that I would never do because it's like nah, it's not my cup of tea.
Oh, you're probably
That one I
think.
think I'll do.
I think the reason why you think it's called the Plunge is because
Hmm.
there's something called the Polar Bear Club. It's a nonprofit organization that does an annual polar plunge. So that's probably why you're thinking about the bear part, because it's an
And
actual. It's in
is that one
Chicago.
done here
Yes.
too?
Yeah.
Maybe then. So there's two different ones,
Well, it's
but one's associated with already a nonprofit, and
so the Polar Plunge is the event that everybody does, but the Polar
uh-huh.
Bear thing is a nonprofit organization.
So is that the entity that the money's going to then, or
Yes.
going through?
Well,
Okay,
yeah. So they do the
okay,
Polar Plunge, but they're called the Polar Bear Club.
gotcha. Makes sense then.
Yeah.
I still butchered it, but makes sense.
I was trying to give you some kind of benefit right there.
No, that's good. I appreciate it. Um, but but yeah. So, anyways, that like I said, it was kind of an odd segue. But other than that, anything else exciting other that's not game related?
Yes, I found myself being very social in gaming, and I don't like it. Because since I've been playing a lot of rank play, I've been trying to find more friends, and I've realized how difficult it is to try to find people that adapt to your mentality and playstyle. Because
Okay,
there's a lot of trial and error, and you're just like, do I really want to put the effort? And it just feels weird. Feels weird putting investment in people.
gotcha. So speaking of going out or not even going out, but I guess I kind of just gave the lead away right there. But making friends or whatever, or through gaming, are you planning on going out tomorrow for community day?
Mouse Community? Oh, it's
I think so.
Slowpoke, right?
Yeah, Slowpoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool,
I
cool.
mean, it's community day. I gotta go. I've been out every single year or every single community day since 2018. I gotta go.
That is not true. That is not. You are such a liar. You do not go out every single time because I know factually I've been out there and you weren't out there.
I don't go out to that one spot every single time, but I go out every single time.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Okay, okay,
If you
okay.
wanted to say, I'm not gonna say the area, but I don't go to
No, no,
that
you don't
spot
have
every
to.
single time. Sometimes I go to downtown. Sometimes I go to another area. Recently, I've only been going to that one spot.
Okay,
Well, the
okay.
last
Calm down.
3 events, you weren't there.
Calm down, cowboy. Calm down.
No,
I
I'm
know.
just
I
saying.
know.
You
I know.
just
I haven't been going. I've
have you
been.
been going out?
No, I've been a hermit. I've been a hermit. I'll admit it.
But yeah.
We'll see. Maybe. We'll see. I'll make an
Is
appearance.
is it just from 2 to 5, or did they change it?
It's a good question because it is like both OG Slowpoke and Galarian Slowpoke. So I don't know if they're giving it a longer time frame.
I think they should just make it 24 hours.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Hmm.
Even the 6 hours is like you get fatigued, man.
Well, you don't need to play for 6 hours.
I
It's
know
for
you don't
anybody that
need
misses
to.
their chance. They can
I
play.
know,
See,
but
you casuals, or sorry, you hardcore people like to complain and ruin it for the casuals.
nah.
Casuals got to play too, man. They got work and they got to play.
The reason like that's still not a good idea is because when you have it that spread out, you're less likelier to be involved with the community aspect of it if it exists in your area. With that larger time frame versus you have a smaller window, then you know the people are going to congregate during that time frame. Um,
Or
so
if you're part of the community, they would already tell you what time they're gonna meet up.
that's what I said. If you have the benefit, it's called. Did you see the field notes? It's called slow and slower. That's funny. Yes, it's only 2 to 5. So
I'll be out for that time. I don't think I
we
finished
shall
the
see.
last community event one. I think I was out for the whole time, and I kind of forgot to do the field task because I was just too busy catching. And I think I was
Mhm.
like 1 out of 4 the whole time, even though I caught like over 700 Pokemon.
Jesus. Um, but yeah, other than that, yeah, nothing in my neck of the woods either. Same old, same old.
They still have is Primal Groudon and Kyogre still up?
No, I don't think so. I think Ho-Oh is out again, which a lot of people are upset with, and probably rightfully so. But me, I could give me ho. I don't care. I still want to. I would still like a perfect ho. I don't care if it's shiny. I just
Well,
want
I
one.
don't get why people complain because it's good that they recycle the old legendaries because people that missed out during that time or weren't playing, they now have a chance to catch it if they missed it. So
Yeah,
those people complaining, I just feel like they always want new things instead of realizing that they're not the only person playing.
yeah,
Because they give us new
exactly.
things like every 3 months, 2 months, whatever. So
I
it's
mean,
fairly new.
actually, not even. It seems like it's a lot more frequent than that. They they've
Probably.
been they've been moving pretty fast lately. Like they really have. Um, so I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I'm just waiting
Um,
for the Scarlet and Violet starters to come out. Wait, did they do Sword and Shield yet?
mm, they did some Galarian Pokemons. Remember, they did kind of do a promo. They've even done some Sinnoh ones, or not Sinnoh. Hisui. They had the Growlithe, the Voltorb. Uh, they haven't done the Scyther one yet. At least I don't think they have. But then again, I haven't. I might have missed something. But yeah, and then now they're doing the Gimme Goal, so that's technically Scarlet Violet. I don't know. Can you transfer the little Gimme Goal into Scarlet Violet yet? No.
Well, mm, I think you can, but I don't think you get any coins for it.
Okay, but you can still do it. So you could get that form in Scarlet Violet, but you can't get the chest one in Go.
No, that wouldn't make sense. You'd have to be able to get the chest one because that'd be an alternate form. Then you get that gold dingo, whatever his name is.
Nope, because the chest form and the little guy are the same Pokemon. It's just different to that effect, different forms. The
Yes,
gold guy is the evolved form of both of them.
but they've had alt forms before in Pokemon Go, so I would think you could probably put it in there.
Well, if they do it, it'll probably be in a long time future, I would think, because I think right now they're kind of trying to treating them as exclusives.
Hmm.
So in
That'd be
their
kind
own
of
right.
funny to like see an alt form Gimme Ghoul, and if you get the chest one, it gives you instead of like 3 candy, it's like 27 candy. So like it's like 999 candy, so you could evolve it.
Hmm. Yeah, I know a lot of people. How many have you done the ticket yet, or I'm sorry, the postcard to get the bag and Go to catch them? Have you done it yet?
No,
Oh, okay, I've only done it twice.
I see it advertised. I'm just like I'm too lazy.
Yeah.
I haven't
Well, I
touched
mean,
Scarlet and Violet so
me,
in like a while, so no.
me, it wasn't due to laziness. It was more like I ain't got time.
Well, that's kind of
playing
lazy.
playing Octopath.
When you
No,
say
I'm
you
just
don't have time, that means you're too lazy to really put an attempt. So
no. I
you
don't have
just say I
time
don't
because
have
I
time.
look. I could multi-game in certain capacities. I can't do Octopath and catch gaming goals at the same time. No, I can't do
No,
it.
too
Can't do
lazy.
it.
There's a will, there's a way, and you don't have that
Can't
will.
do it. Can't do it.
But yeah,
Ugh.
it feels weird though. Like obviously we're talking about going out and play Pokemon. Apparently
Mhm.
there's more people joining our Pokemon Discord thanks to our wonderful mods. Well, mainly just one mod, Agnes. But but have you like tried to like network with people in gaming? Because I know before you were trying to do like the community thing on World of Warcraft.
Yeah, which is not being successful at all. But then at the same time, I haven't really invested much time into really attempting. But I feel like it's dare I say harder. But with
No, it's I would say it's about the same difficulty because with rank play you got to find people that are skilled and good, like willing to play with.
okay, this sounds very very weird. But like with Pokemon Go, right? When before COVID and when the community stuff was hot. Not saying that maybe it's not anymore. Maybe it's ramping up a little bit. But like, I mean, you know this better than most. Like, I would just randomly say what's up to anybody and how you doing. You part of a Discord? No, hey, you want to join ours? Kind of give them the quick tutorial, and it was like easy. Versus like recruitment to me in Go was easy. Versus WoW, it's not that easy because WoW is so much more. Um, I don't want to say rewarding, but you could do so much by yourself. I mean, you can in Go too, except for the rating aspect, right? I mean, that's the same in WoW too, but you could queue by yourself.
Well, they made it even easier by yourself because if you could join like a Facebook group or whatever, you can get invited to those, you know, far away
Remote
raids.
raids.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But like, there's so that was another thing I was reading like on social media. People are kind of like starting to now get upset about is how it's still capped at 5. And
No,
they're like,
they
ah,
reduced it. It's 3 now.
oh, oh, so that's why they're upset.
Yes.
Oh, see, I didn't even know that. Yeah, that does suck. Cause
And
like
it's
even if
not
you are,
only 3, but your inventory is only 3 now. That means if you had
what do you mean?
so that means if you want to buy raid passes now, you can't
Yeah,
have over 3 remote raid passes. You're locked at
that
3.
was always the case.
No, you could have like 30, 40 remote raid passes at
No,
once.
when? I never knew
But
it to be that way.
before this recent or the last whatever recent cancellation, you could have like 100 remote raid passes, like you could have premium passes, and then they reduced that to 5, and but you could still have like 40 in your inventory. You just have to use them, 5 at a time. Now you can only have 3 if you used all your inventory.
I don't remember that being a thing. I always remembered it being 3. So I definitely must have missed out
No,
on
you could use only 3 at a time, but your inventory you could stack up multiple passes.
no, no, I always knew you could only have 3. Actually, the way I knew it when it first came out is you could only have 3 in your inventory, but you could do as many remote raids as you want.
It was the
So
opposite.
backwards to what you're saying.
It was both at
So
once, and then they changed that to where it was only 5. You could use it 5 at once in unlimited inventory, and now it's 3 at to use and 3 in inventory. So they changed it 3 times.
so the 3 you could use. What's the cooldown? That like 3 per day?
Yeah.
Really? Wow. I'm kind of for that though. Like I'm for a max per day. I'm not for the limited 3 people that you can invite. That's horseshit. Because like they're hard. They're really hard to do with only 4 people. Actually, some of them I would probably reckon are probably impossible to do with 4 people.
Well, they let you invite 5 people, 5 and then 6 including you.
Okay, I think you're.
No, you can
We're not on the
invite.
same wavelengths
You
here.
can invite 5 friends to a raid,
Yeah,
and you would be the 6th person, so you could still get the raids done.
but I thought you just said it was 3.
Yeah, 3 raid passes, not 5 raid invites.
Okay, so we're getting this twisted here, folks. Okay, I think I just want to drop it because I don't care.
Well, you got confused. I was talking about 3 raid passes.
I got confused based on information you were telling me. That's why I got confused.
No, I think you
Like
misheard raid passes and
I
invites.
always knew it that you were able to invite 5 people max. Well, not only you, if you were in there with another 5 people, the first 5 to accept remotely were the only ones allowed in.
Oh yeah, that's 5 invite is still a thing.
Yes,
but you can only have
the thing.
3
And
remote raid passes though.
And then I thought when you talk about the remote repass, I thought you meant players, and that's why I was like, oh well, that fucking sucks.
No,
So
it was
that
just raid
segue
passes.
wasn't really clear to me.
Even though I said raid passes.
It still wasn't clear to me.
All right.
Okay. Anyways, let's just drop that. Zed,
That's what a right. That's what a right means. But yes.
But anywho, we'll see. We'll see how tomorrow goes. To all those that do play Pokemon Go out there, may the shiny gods shine upon you. Shall we move on to our topic 1 of the day? How do you feel about that?
Sure.
Cool.
So, whoops, why isn't topic 1 showing? That's weird. So, I chose this one because of something you posted. The topic's name is Stacked Year, the sequel, because in 2022 we had a whole bunch of great games, movies, shows. It seems like 2023 is delivering on that. We have, what is it? I think there's like a list of 10 games, which surprisingly, those 10 most anticipated games, Final Fantasy 16 wasn't on there. Which
No,
I'm
it
like,
was. I'm almost positive it was.
Well, the one you showed me, it definitely wasn't there. But on other people's lists, 16 isn't even popping up on their list for 10.
Yeah, 16 was number 2.
Let me see this.
You don't know your Roman numerals.
I see Final Fantasy 7 Reborn.
Yeah, Rebirth is 4. So this was the list that I shared. Number 1 was Zelda. 2 was FF16. 3 was Pikmin 4, which I thought was a little bit shocking.
Yeah, who's interested in Pikmin?
I mean, I kind of am, but not to the extent that that would be that high on my list. 7 Rebirth was 4. Street Fighter 6 is 5. RE4 remake, 6, 7 Ushiro. I don't know what that is. 8 Like a Dragoon 8. I think that's an RPG.
Well,
9
Like a Dragon is the Yakuza games. They just changed the title.
Oh, okay. 9 I'm gonna butcher that. Atelier Ryza 3, is that a racing game?
I don't know.
I don't
The
know.
last two, I
And
don't know what they
10,
are.
yeah, 10 Pragmata. So, nonetheless, a lot of these games we've mentioned on the podcast numerous times because the first shy of Street Fighter, I'm definitely looking forward to. And then I also share with you, kind of build off this list, Resident Evil 4. Did it come out today?
I have
Like,
no idea. I know it's
or
soon.
or all these websites and stuff getting like um, copies ahead of time. But the reviews have been just nothing short of outstanding. Which I mean, it's good to see. I'm like, I was looking forward to it, but I wasn't like 100% sure if I was gonna get it, and I don't know if it's gonna put me over the edge. Um,
I need to
but
look this up. I don't think Resident Evil 4 is out yet because I know people are like hardcore playing the demo.
maybe that's where the reviews are coming from. It's just based off a demo. I don't know,
Yep,
but
Resident Evil 4 doesn't come out until March 24th. So they're playing the
okay,
demo.
okay. But I guess the demo is just making people throw out tens like their dollar bills.
Well,
Uh,
I think it's a bait because there's two demos. The second demo they just recently released this week is called Chainsaw Mode, and it's
mm,
where I guess it's like difficulty to the max, and then you have nothing but chainsaw guys chasing you, and it's like supposed to be like really scary. I think
mm.
that's why they're giving it 10. I have a feeling that's not how the real game's gonna play. I feel like this is just like the demo part to get you hyped up for that one section, but you're not gonna see it in in like any other part besides that in the game, in the real game.
Mm,
Because they did that with Resident Evil Village. They made you go in the village and they had like that horde mode, and then
uh,
after that demo, you didn't see that in the game.
interesting. I mean, that would be not really false advertisement, but false reviewing then, I guess, from all the places. But I hope not. I mean, I haven't watched any of this footage yet. Um,
It's pretty
but
good.
you've been watching it or you've seen some?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see like the
But
reverse combat? Like if you the guy chainsaws, you parry with your gun.
no, no, that sounds very Final Fantasy esque. No,
Yes, you put
but
your gun up and he chainsaws
yeah,
your gun.
and it just nothing happens with a gun. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like I might wait till a price drop. I don't know. We'll see. Like, I do want to experience it again, because it is one of my more favorable ones. I think it probably goes like 2 to 4, probably. Um, and it was a really good game. So if they make everything better and like even really enhance the story, even though like I think the story was fine in the original anyway, but you know, yeah, I think it'll be worth checking out. But anyways, they want to take too much time and going back to the stacked year. I guess technically that is one of them, even though
Yeah.
it's part 4. But yeah, we talked about all those anyway, and I think I might have ranked them in the same capacity. And I was telling you when I shared it with
I
you
don't think
that
you're
I'm
ranked
pretty
in the
sure.
same capacity because you don't even know what 4 of them are.
You're talking about I don't know what 4 of them are.
4 of
I
them
said
on the
because
list.
yeah, because I told you like podcasts ago that what am I looking forward to most? Well, Octopath 2, that's already out.
I don't think you understand what I'm saying,
So
but we'll move on from that.
okay, whatever. Zelda, Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. So like, yeah, those were already on my list. Um, but I think the way they were ranked in this thing was based on release date, because the closer that release date comes, people are getting more anticipated and excited, just like how I was with Octo. So I don't know how many of those really are on your list, Josh.
Well,
Um,
my list is. I mean, my top game already came out. It was Hogwarts Legacy. I was happy, but I seen a whole bunch of other lists. The one you showed, that was just the first time I seen that. But from
gotcha.
people like game journalists and all that, they were showing theirs, and this was like early March. Wulong Fallen Dynasty was on there. It was like number 6 on their list. Now it's number 2, which I thought was hilarious. They jumped up that significantly.
Hmm.
One that I don't see often, except for like journalists, is a new Tenkan game that's coming out later this year.
That's true. Yeah, that
And
one doesn't
people
really get a lot of love.
people are saying that it's probably, well, they said it with every single time, but they're saying
Hmm.
that Tenkan fans are gonna be like really happy about this new one. That it's probably gonna revive, I guess, the series because of the different combat, the new characters, and suppose they're gonna go like super hardcore with the tournament mode.
Because they had the teaser, right? If memory serves me correct, at the Video Game Awards, right? Didn't they have it?
They probably had the video game awards, but they've been teasing it nonstop because they had the Netflix show that came out recently, kind of boosting that up. Then they did a couple other YouTube videos out there, so they're going full force
Like,
with this new Tenkan game.
yeah, I mean, I'll be interested in seeing what they do. Just the whole fighting style of Tekken was uh, never really gravitated towards me. The one that I did play though the most and like almost in a sickening way was Tekken 3. I freaking loved that one. That was the only one that I really invested so much time in. The rest, I'm just like, yeah.
I I've only played like Tekken 7, legitimately. The other ones I played, like one-offs. But the one that I thought was actually considered was Tekken Tag Tournament. But according to
I
real
remember that
Tekken
one.
fans, that's not a real Tekken game.
Yeah, but I do remember that one too.
Because I played a lot of Tekken Tag Tournament, but I guess according to fans, it
It
doesn't count.
didn't that one actually also get released on like was it GameCube maybe?
Oh, they made 2 of them, so I don't remember when it came out.
Okay, okay.
I just
So I
remember
remember even
playing it.
because I remember even like Street Fighter had games similar to that where it was like EX3 I think was one that I had, and they had some other tag one too that um was just really so not very Street Fighter-ish. But somehow I still enjoyed it. But even Street Fighter, like I know when we went to the arcade, Galloping Ghost, like I played a little bit of it that day, but which was part 5. But um, even Street Fighter like really fell off. And this new one, they're pushing like so hard with the customization aspect of it and stuff, and how like you're gonna be the Street Fighter, and it's like, eh, mm, I don't
it,
know, not
if
doing it for me.
so, I'm not sure because I actually played Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, and all that stuff at the
Hmm.
arcade too. I forget how drastically different the arcade versions is versus console versions.
Yeah,
Because the input, you have more creative freedom on console because directional analogs and all that stuff compared to like the joystick. I'm like, man, this feels weird. I feel
yeah.
like I'm limited.
Yeah, but actually, like, well, I mean, tournaments have changed over the years because now, like, professional gamers bring like their own like arcade like, you know, accessories with them. But way back in the day, I mean, that was like the only way you were allowed to play was the arcade style.
Mm.
But you mentioned something that um I feel is hiding in the shadows and just hasn't been. It's just waiting for its moment to just kind of like pick off all these other fighting games and say y'all fucking suck. And that's Mortal Kombat. Like I think they're waiting in the shadows and they're gonna announce it soon. You don't think so?
No, if they're gonna announce another fighting game, it'll be Infamous 3 or no, Injustice 3.
Injustice.
Yeah, I think the next Mortal Kombat 13 is maybe like 2 3 years out.
You think so, huh?
Yeah, Ed Boon. I know you. If you're talking about Ed Boon, I seen his tweets. I seen his like 25th annual or whatever anniversary thing.
Mm-hmm.
Reminiscing with the old actors.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they usually have an order. It's usually Mortal Kombat, Injustice, Mortal Kombat, Injustice, and Injustice still waiting on their third game. So I think
That one will.
think they're
That
off.
one probably could. That one would be cool too, though.
But I will
Um.
say, if we do get another Mortal Kombat game, it wouldn't be your
Mhm.
traditional one. It would be another Mortal Kombat versus DC, which I think a lot of people are
Ooh.
hoping for.
Mm.
Because the
Ooh.
first one I liked, but I know it wasn't received well by the fans. But seeing Injustice and Mortal Kombat now, I think people would want to see another one just to see if they improve.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
It'd be really cool, especially with their star cast of like DLC people. I'd love to see the TMNT people back again, Hellboy back again, Spawn back again. Just they have a lot of characters they can pull from. And I think
Yeah.
that collaboration could be massive.
Yeah. For sure. Hmm. How man, like I've been really skipping out on fighting games for probably a couple generations now. Um, how are the roster size nowadays? Because I remember like it got to a point where like they weren't as lavish as like the arcade days, right? Because and they talk about like having to do all the graphics and the polygons and all this shit and um how much of a challenge that is. But like nowadays, like is that really still a challenge or?
I don't think the challenge is, with character models. I think it's fighting abilities. I think they try not to make too many because they're afraid that, one could be super OP, like, Flash or, what's her name? Jacqueline Briggs. Because, like, they always release one character that's kind of OP because they didn't balance it too well. But I think they're getting better at that. Because usually they limit the roster to, like, 20 people. With
But the
DLC
balance,
characters
but
included.
even nowadays, I feel like the balancing aspect is something they could correct with a patch.
You would think.
You would
But it
think,
takes them a while.
yeah.
Like, I know Mortal Kombat 10 and 11, there was always, like, two characters that just played competitive for, like, 6 or 7 months. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Black, I think his name is. He's, like, a gunslinger. And he didn't get patched until many, many months later.
Mm, interesting.
Because you can know a character has an issue,
Mm-hmm.
but it's how to scale that back. Like, do I adjust damage? Do I slow his speed? Or do I buff other characters? Because
Mm-hmm.
you don't know what the actual issue is. That's why it takes time to, like, really cook up those fixes.
Mm-hmm. Because I know, like, I mean, I wasn't like um reading patch notes to the extreme when it came to like Smash Brothers, but like, I know some of their fixes were like, dare I say, the simplicity of um, like decreasing their hitbox by a single pixel or something like that, because like that little itty bitty of a reach or one frame, was like, the reason why they were OP'd for that duration. So like those are things I was wondering like that could dare I say easily be patched, but to your point, like I can only imagine to just sit there and go through that QA process to figure it out where you're not only you're correcting that character, but you're also correcting it at the same time of making sure no other characters become imbalanced in that process as well. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I wouldn't want to be on that team.
And I also don't want to diss Smash Bros, but Smash Bros is a training wheel version of fighting games. Like, all you have is your heavy attack, your basic attack,
Oh
your
well,
jumping attack, and grapple.
no, for sure, for sure. And then
Like,
not
that's
to
easy
mention
to
like
that's easy to change.
yeah, and not to mention like the play like I mean I get it. I mean we went to the tournament once and just seen how they played and how they're able to counter the things and it's just like mind blowing. But like that's an edge hog game. Like you just got to be an edge king and that's the gist of the game. Like no one actually battles like that would be an interesting like how can I put it tournament type style is you don't win via knockoffs. Like you have to actually fight. So there's walls and they blow up at 300% or something. So you're forced to actually be technical and sound and fight. But
Like, the arena just slowly closes in over time, like a BR. Just
oh,
and
that see now that would be even cooler. That would be even cooler.
like, eventually you got this massive arena you could jump around, and slowly as the
Yeah,
time ticks down, it's just a
yeah.
narrow box.
I mean, in some capacity, but going vertically, like some levels do have that, right? Like the Metroid one with the lava and stuff. I mean, it doesn't instantly kill you, but um, you could be punished for it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I loved my time with Smash, but yeah, it's just like, all right, guys, let's get to the edge and let's see who's better on the edge. It's like, yeah. But I mean, watching them play, like they knew what they're doing and they knew how to counter. And some, like I remember seeing some people coming back up. It's like, how was that even possible? So,
Yeah, it's kind of funny when you look at fighting games, like, just the different play styles. Like, there's a guy I follow. His name is Sonic Fox. He was like a
mhm,
champion at like multiple fighting games. Like, I think sorry, Smash Bros was one of them. Then he decided to go back to Mortal Kombat because he's good there. And then I think a couple other games. But it's just funny to see how, one's more just air verticality, while one's more blocking and just, chain combos, and the other one is just pure precision attacks and then backing off and going back in like Street Fighter. Like, I'm not
mhm.
sure if you remember that moment in Evo where they were having like one guy was basically at the brink of death, and he did like a perfect combo into like a chain attack and then took the guy from full health to dead.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen that video. I don't know if you shared it with me or I came across it from somewhere else, but yeah, I have seen that. But yeah, and that's the cool thing about fighting games. Like, um, they all have their own unique niche to it that keeps them separated from the class. Like I know a very popular one that doesn't get talked about a lot is like oh shit, it was at the tip of my tongue and I forgot what it was. A Guilty Gear. That's another one that's really popular. And I was watching a friend play that one because he was really good at it. He did tournaments and once again, kind of a little bit different than your other type of games. It was more like old school, like Street Fighter type, I guess. But
Didn't they just release another Guilty Gear game recently?
by recent, if you want to say probably like a year and a half ish ago, I think so. Yeah, and that's what I was watching him play, and I was like, man, like this, like the graphics of it and everything, like it looked really nice. Like it looked really smooth.
Oh, that's the reason why I'm thinking it's different because they just recently released Guilty Gear for Game Pass.
Mm,
Because now it's
maybe.
on there. But yeah, it seems like there's a lot more fighting games that are coming to the front now because Tenken, Street Fighter, and Mortal Kombat seem to have these long year gaps. Like
Hmm.
Guilty Gear's back. What's it
Did
called?
you mention Soul Calibur too? Was there a mention of Soul Calibur?
We talked about that like a week or two ago. But Soul
Uh huh.
Calibur, people want that back. But
Yeah,
King of Fighters, that's huge now.
the fighters. Yep.
Killer Instinct is starting to make a comeback again.
Oh, like I know they re-released one on Xbox, and I did play it, and I liked it, but obviously that's not gonna be enough for me to buy again
Yeah.
an Xbox because I saw they added Battletoads in there as fighters. I was like, ooh, that's cool.
Killer Instincts was one of
So
those weird games where it was like, when the Xbox One first came out in like 2014 to 15, that was like one of their big selling points. They brought back Killer Instinct Gold, all these characters, and it was going strong for like 4 or 5 years, and it died off for like 5 years, and now it's back again. I'm like, how does that happen? It's the same game, but somehow a resurgence happens.
yeah, I have no answer for that. If I think if they want to do a resurgence, I don't know what they recently released or they plan on releasing, but um, I think they need to go back to the old school method or look to it, like go back to the traditional like arcade looking versions and fine tune it from there. I think that would probably because I played it. Me and my friends played the shit out of Killer Instinct, but mainly the first one. Two a little bit, but mainly the original. Played the shit out of that one. I honestly I feel like for those days that kind of rivaled GoldenEye 007. Like seriously, I mean maybe other people have a different opinion and that's totally fine. Put it in the comments. But in my world, those two were like,
Oh well, Killer Instinct was definitely a staple fighting game for most people. Like it was
yeah.
Mortal Kombat, or what was the other one? Well, there was a third fighting game at the time. What was that fighting game called?
There was one that a lot of people may not remember, but there was one called Clay Fighters.
Don't know that one.
You don't even know about Clay Fighters. I think it was also a rare game. But man, that game was so hard, so difficult to play.
I wish we had like the fighting games community's ear for a second because I want to know because I still think Tenken is one of the hardest fighting games out there. But I want to know from true fighting game fans what is the hardest fighting game out there right now.
Mm, that'd
And
be
the
interesting.
the only reason why I say Tenken is because it's 3D movement, it's not 2D. So you got like you can go move back and
You have
forth.
to strafe too, yeah.
Yeah, and then you also have these pitch perfect, like you gotta have like these perfect combo or what's it called, breaks in order to stop your opponent's attack. Because if you don't, you're just gonna get pummeled. Yeah, I just need to know what the hardest one is.
Hmm.
If it is
Yeah, it'd be
Tenken, I'll be
interesting to
surprised.
hear. Well, those that are out there, if you're listening to this podcast and you adore fighting games, feel free to share your opinions because we would like to know.
I also want to know what the easy one is too. I feel like I crap on Smash Bros, but I think that's
Hmm.
universally known as the easiest one.
And that's fine. Like I don't care if it's known as the easiest. It's like my feelings aren't going to be hurt because
Easy doesn't
obviously
mean bad.
no, exactly. And that's kind of what I was alluding to. Like all because it's easy, I think that attributes to accessibility, and then why a lot of people gravitate towards it because they were able to just like learn it in a matter of hours.
Going back to like when we went to that tournament, there was what was it? That 7-year, 8-year-old that was
Yeah,
competing and made a main
and
stage top 16.
he was whooping ass.
Yes, he was. What's the character? The characters from Earthbound.
Oh, Ness, yeah.
Yeah, he was Ness, and he was going in top 16 as a little
The
kid.
best part of going back to that tournament that I liked and appreciated, and that's not to say this doesn't happen in other tournaments, because I'm sure it does, but obviously Smash has a pretty large cast of characters. But then, like, while you're there, you would see so many people choosing different characters, and people were like, "Wait, what? You're picking that one?" Huh?" And then you see how well they played with them, and it's just like holy shit! I didn't think somebody could have been good with um uh Game and Watch, or whatever, or Duck Hunt. It's like yeah, you invest time in a particular character, you just may get really good at it. Like I said, I'm pretty sure that's standard with all fighting games, but
Did we
um,
ever share the story with you competing?
maybe I know we've always talked about amongst friends. I don't know if we ever talked about it on the podcast.
So, Steve, actually participated. I didn't participate because I was just, I didn't play enough. But Steve was competing, and I think he got to like a second round or something, and his opponent was a Pichu, and Steve held his ground for a while, but the Pichu got the better of him. But at the third round, he thought he died, and he said GG, and the opponent says, "You're not dead yet, you're right there." He was like, "Oh," he kept playing and then fell off himself.
That was me being dumb. Who knows? Maybe I could have actually won that round, but
But that was just cool that he didn't even take advantage. He was
but
like, "Dude, you're still alive. You're right there," and he let you
and,
regroup.
and even though I just shared a story about, like, how interesting it is people choose characters that you didn't think they would choose, and I guess this will be a two-parter. But to that note, it's like Pichu, like, he hurts himself when he damages you, so it's like I feel like I have a handicap here. But no, he still won my ass. And then the second round, because it was like double elimination, so the second round, I was already defeated, and I ended up picking random. And the guy that I was facing, I think he also lost his first round. We're both facing double elimination. And he just looked at me. He's like, "Oh fuck, I lost." And I was like, "No, dude, don't worry about it. I fucking."
You're like, I gave up before I even lost.
Uh, but so those two were the single stories, but then the double stories. So initially, we started the day with me and my buddy Rob. We entered both singles tournament and doubles, and the doubles tournament, I selected Isabel. My buddies selected King K. Rool. So, preface to the story, we did practice. We practiced sufficiently, and when we got to the tournament, we sat down. The other team's like, "So you want us to set up the game?" We're like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead, set it up." So they, like, they start going to options, start selecting all this stuff, and then they get to team attack, and they turn team attack on, and we both like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! What are you doing there?" They're like, "It's in the rules." Like, "It's in the rules?" Like, "Yeah, it was on the website." I'm like, fucking remember seeing it on the website. Me and my buddy Rob looked at each other and we're like, "We're fucked." Because, like, all the practicing we did before that day was always with team attack off, and we were instantly like, "Son of a bitch," because we had our plan, we had what we wanted to do, and should have read the rules better, I guess.
Yeah, it's a huge deal.
Yeah, so but it makes a great story.
Yes, but you
Um,
tried your best. That's all that really matters. But
yeah, no, it was a great time. It was fun. A little chaotic. I think I even really shat on the process, but um, I enjoyed it. I really did.
I just love the fact, and I've done this too when I went to tournaments, is when you go in with a friend, you're like, I don't want to get first rounded, but if I do, I hope he does too, because if not, you're gonna feel bad
I
that
didn't.
you
No,
didn't you didn't root for
no,
Rob to fail.
no, hell no. I wanted anybody to succeed. Honestly, I did not feel that way at all.
Obviously,
At
you
all.
want him to win, but if you lost, you wouldn't feel as bad because you're like, I lost too, and now
No,
I feel even.
I was really confident that he would at least win round one, and I guess, maybe bad luck, against who he was put against, but, like, um, because I think he similar, right? He, like, won at least a round because it's best out of three or something like that. No, I wanted him to win. I mean, I knew he wasn't gonna win, but I wanted to see him
At least go one
win
round.
something. Yeah, because I'll admit, like, he was a better player than me, especially when he picked the characters that he liked, which was like, Sheik or Zelda even. Um, and Yeah, I really thought that he had a shot, but tournaments, they're serious business.
It's funny when you go
Even when
in
they're
thinking you
local.
practice, like yeah, local. But it's funny when you go in there thinking you practice enough, like 5 hours, maybe a day, whatever, and you actually go against somebody that's really trying and they spend 12 hours a day, and for
Yeah,
like 7 years straight, you're like, oh,
yeah.
there's a difference.
And you know what else makes I guess, dare I say, it might make Smash more challenging to prepare for than the other games because Nintendo's online service fucking sucks. So even if you're trying to, gain better skills online with the service being so shoddy, like you're not going to get that same level of gameplay to practice versus I would like to believe like the other servers for like Street Fighter and all them are probably a lot more stable. I don't know for fact, but I'm just going to assume here. So,
They're better, but they're not that much better. But I know the world might end for this. I'm gonna defend Nintendo and saying there's a positive here because Nintendo's online service is so garbage.
uh-huh,
A lot of people are willing to do more local land for those games because of that reason.
that's true.
So
That's
that's the
true.
only positive that you could actually practice in person because people don't want to play online.
But I can't remember if we ever talked about this like on our initial podcast. I think it might have came up once, but now I'm really not remembering. But to your point, it's good because you get more of that local community based thing going with the tournaments. But fucking Nintendo being stupid, they were shutting them down.
Yeah,
Like you're shooting yourself in the foot. Like I can't fathom that. Like I know they say they defend because they're trying to you know keep the integrity of their IP or some bullshit like that. But there's no harm in that. Like
let's be honest. It
zero.
wasn't integrity. They wanted to make sure that if there's going to be a tournament, they get money out of it.
You're talking fucking peanuts, man.
Dude, a penny is a
And
penny.
you know how much I'm a Nintendo defender. So it's funny how we're coming like oppos here right now. But like I will never co-sign that.
Well, I'm not
That was
saying
just
it's right
dumb.
either. I'm just saying that, like I said, they're greedy. A penny is a penny for them. They want that penny.
Yeah. Like I get it when they go online and they shut down like um certain fan made stuff. Like
The Pokemon games.
yeah, like I kind of get that because you got to protect the IP in that regard.
But
Like
this is community building that they
but
should want.
exactly. That's the part that kills me. And they were successful because I don't know if they exist anymore. I don't think they exist.
Nope. And it's funny because they were so successful and Evo shut down. They don't really have any other big platforms except for that one, and that's already dying out. That's why Smash Bros. You're not seeing any more highlights.
Yeah,
Obviously, the character packs are gone, but even when the
yeah.
character packs are coming out, the viewership drops 100% because you can only watch it that one avenue. What was it? Uh, what was that network called? The Game Core. I forgot. They were partnered with something, and that died
Hmm.
out significantly because there's only one avenue, and and that hurt Smash Bros. And that was
Yeah,
all Nintendo's doing.
yeah, yeah. That's just so bad. And arguably their top IP.
You think Smash Bros is their best IP or top IP?
It's definitely one of their top. I mean, you argue if it's the top. I mean, some people say Zelda, obviously,
I
but
would have
like,
said
I mean,
Pokemon
but but
because the World Championship is huge, not just for the card, but for the battling.
but that's all under their umbrella, so they control that, right?
But
Which is, I
yeah,
guess, maybe what I guess is what they wanted for Smash, if we kind of think about it now. But they were successful doing it with Pokemon. Like nobody hosts, or dare I say nobody. I'm sure maybe it does exist out there somewhere somehow, but nobody really does community-based Pokemon stuff. Like we went to that one for Go, which was also fun, very small, but that was all community-based and actually surprisingly, I wonder if that somehow got notoriety where they might have gotten kind of melt or how do I want to say it? Not like bought out, but like molded into it. Like I don't know, like
well,
you know what I'm saying?
there was a group. It was called the Sylph
Self
Road.
co, Self co road, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, they were trying to get like a whole bunch of smaller groups to like join into one massive one, and
Hmm.
that's where we've seen the tournament went to. That's why they handed out those little badges because
Hmm.
they're all trying to do these event themed things, whatever.
Mhm. Mhm.
But unfortunately, because Pokemon Go died out during COVID, the battling died out as well, so that
Mm.
Silph tournament kind of disappeared.
Mm. That sucks.
Yeah, it was
That
just
sucks.
like great idea, really bad timing. But that wasn't
Yeah.
bad timing on their part; it was just bad timing where it
No.
led.
Yeah. 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 I mean, because it's. I mean, even the event we went to. I mean, it was healthy. What was about like 22 plus
Yeah.
people, give or take.
Well, we went to two of
Wasn't
them.
bad.
The local event was good. The one after Go Fest was even better,
Oh
except
yeah,
for
that
there
one
was
was
no referee.
huge. Yeah. 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 But that one was hosted by what was that dude's name? King?
Oh yeah, Pogo King or whatever his name is, the
Yeah.
top PvPer in Go.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that one was cool. That was really cool.
I sometimes, going back to the competitive talk, when I was playing in that thing, I wish I cared enough to win because like the person I versed, I won 2 times in a row, but they kept backing out. I should have just kept this, as that's a submission. It's not my fault they lagged out, even though I
Yeah.
said I could replay, and then after that they reverse sweep me and came back 3 rounds. I'm like, I should have just been heartless and said, nope, I won. You
Yeah.
can't lag. You lagged out.
Yeah. That's funny.
And then also
But
you and I versing, and then I had you basically on the ropes. Last minute, 1 HP in a dream, solar beam. I go from full to dead.
I roll.
You
Yeah,
were even
no,
shocked
that's
too.
yeah, I actually was. I didn't think it was gonna do that. I don't know if it was my Pokemon being strong or your Pokemon being weak.
That was funny. But that's the one thing you love about like competitive and especially local tournaments is that you get those like what just happened moments.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I kind of want that back again.
Yeah, but going back to Stack Year of the sequel, or um, what other ones did you want to mention? Because you were bringing out like other people's lists, and we kind of went astray.
So oh yeah. So stacked year, obviously we see like Final Fantasies, 7 Rebirth, 16. One thing surprisingly that was talked about for many years, but the year supposed to come out,
Mhm.
Starfield. I haven't seen it on anybody's top 10 list. And I wonder how it went from number 1 to not even number 10 for a lot of people.
Sadly, I don't know if I know what that is.
So Starfield is Bethesda's next big IP. It's supposed to
Mm,
be massive exploration, multiple planets, kind of like No Man's Sky, but obviously with a shooter-based RPG like Fallout or Skyrim. Um, and it's been like hyped up for so many years. That's the biggest exploration game that Bethesda's ever made. And now for some reason, really close to release, because I think it comes out like a
mhm,
month or two,
mhm,
that hype almost like diminished.
mm.
And I wonder what happened within the short time frame from going super high expectations to this killed it.
Interesting. Is it because it's been in development for maybe too long that people just kind of like forgot about it? Like, is it possible? Like,
So from the little bits I've seen, I think it's the gameplay that people are afraid of because
mm,
it almost looks too old school, like Fallout 3.
mm,
Because to be honest, like as much as the PS5, the Xbox Series X are like really advanced, they can't hold thousands of planets, and you gotta load them all at the same time, and you can explore. And
mm-hmm,
I think that's the problem is that Starfield may be too big and too ambitious. That it might hurt
mm.
itself gameplay wise.
So kind of the Scarlet and Violet issue, but
Yes.
a lot larger.
Yes. And it seems like that's the case from like the little gameplay previews I had, but of course this is
Mm,
like pre-alpha. They could probably do patches to fix that.
yeah,
But I think that's why my assumption is why I went from number 1 to not even in the top 10 for people is because of that
interesting.
reason.
Mm,
But yeah,
mm,
Starfield was another big one. What else? Xbox has surprisingly big ties. Like Wulong Dynasty somehow shopped a lot of people's list because of how shockingly good it was. Because it's basically a Dark Souls game, but tougher, and a lot of people like those tough games now.
yeah,
Um,
which is good because sometimes you see a lot of people get you know, upset that something's too hard and they want easy mode all the time. So,
yeah.
like there gotta be games for everybody, even ones that are super fucking hard. Like just don't fucking play it then.
Well, I think that's the one thing that I think From Software gets a lot of credit for is that they turn the industry from instant gratification to you have to work for it again. Like they
Hmm.
brought back that mentality of in order to get this, you got to be good and you got to work for it. And
Hmm.
because of that, I think it's opened up a whole bunch of avenues for other developers to actually dive back into that again, like Team Ninja that made Wulong Fallen Dynasty.
Hmm.
There's a couple other big games that I was gonna talk about, but I kind of forgot them because we're talking about tournaments. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of good games here. Surprisingly, a lot of them are on Xbox, which people for the last 10 years, Xbox had no games, and now it seems like they have all the games now, which is an interesting take.
Except Final Fantasy.
Except Final Fantasy, or maybe even Call of Duty. We don't know
Yeah,
how that's gonna work. Um,
yeah. Shit, that should be, in theory, that should be resolved in like 3 months, right?
we'll see. All I know is that PlayStation is dragging it out because they don't want a deal. They're just trying to block it because they want to block it.
Yeah.
Did you see their comments on what they on the acquisition?
If there's recent ones, probably not.
Like as a company, I 100% understand where they're coming from. Like if you take a deal, that's the worst thing to do. Hold out as long as you can, try to
Hmm.
block as much. But they're like, yeah, we're
Hmm.
not trying to negotiate. We want this done. We don't want no trade or acquisition to happen. Which I was like, oh, good for you, standing your ground. But I don't know if it's gonna work.
Yeah.
But going
I
to the
mean, I mean,
movies.
I mean, they do got. I'm sorry. I mean, they do got like other entities supporting them for the same thing. I just don't know if there's enough like manpower.
Yeah, at this point, I don't care anymore. I think both are just in it for themselves. We'll see how it works.
Oh yeah, it's always. I mean, it's a political game, so.
But not only that, you got a whole bunch of movies coming out. Supposedly, um, I'm not sure if this is. Did they confirm this? I heard that House of Dragons, the first season 2 is coming out at the end of this year, which I was shocked. I thought that was coming out in 2024.
I thought so too.
Maybe they were lying to me, but I heard or I read some things
Hmm.
that said House of Dragons or some kind of Game of Thrones thing is going to pop out soon this year.
I mean, if it does, I'll welcome it with open arms. But I thought it was 2024
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
as
And then
well.
John Wick coming
Hell,
out.
I don't even think they've started production on it. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, no, I think they're shooting now, but I don't.
Okay.
But they're at like the early stages, so I don't know what I was hearing. But they're saying something with Game of Thrones coming out. I don't know if it's like a special feature thing, but I heard something's coming out at this later end of the year. But John Wick's coming out, and I'm not sure if you've seen anything about that, but like people are saying it's 10 out of 10, best in the series, which usually doesn't happen. Usually when you have sequels, they go down.
Hmm.
Somehow it's going up. And I don't know if that's just a Keanu effect and people are
I
overhyping
was about
him.
to say, people love Keanu, man. Like, it's almost like he could do no harm, no foul. Like, he could murder someone in broad daylight and be like, "Ah, we still love Keanu. He's a good guy."
But here's the thing though, is like, I don't like to trust IGN or any like, Kotaku or all
Yeah.
these stuff for their reviews because I usually don't agree with them. But like all the John Wick movies have been like 8.5. This is the only one that's received tens from them.
Hmm.
And it
Interesting.
seems like this is all across the board. And I'm like, how does
How
the fourth installment get better
how
than the original?
how how long generally are those movies?
I'd say like an hour 30.
That's it, 90 minutes each.
Yeah, well, you gotta realize there's a lot of like physical training that goes into it. It's mostly, I mean,
But I would think like, especially with three, and then maybe more so with this one, which I don't know the runtime, but due to the popularity of them, like I figured that maybe they would finally hit 2 hours or something.
I think with the amount of preparation and difficulty it takes to make these movies, I don't think they'll do that. Because let's be honest, the
I think,
story you're not really watching. I mean, there is a story, but
uh-huh,
that's not the huge driving force of it.
yeah, yeah. I think like out of all the different action flicks that you get giddy for, like Mission Impossible, nah, Top Gun, nah. If I were to watch any of them, it probably would be the Wick ones.
You need well, you don't need to, but I recommend watching three because usually like the trilogy goes on sale for like $10 because for some reason they're relatively cheap.
Hmm.
Watch it, and I need to hear your opinion on it because and tell me if from first one to second one to third one if they get better or worse in your opinion
Mm.
because everybody
Okay.
seems to have the latter effect where the first one's I mean it's still good but second one's better than the first one, third one's better than the second one, and then the fourth one is better than the other ones. Which I don't think has had that effect with any other movies, right? I think maybe Lord of the Rings maybe have had that effect.
Um, maybe. I think it depends who you talk to.
Well, the second one at least, the Two Towers was
Two
definitely the
Towers
best one.
is, yeah, so that trumps what you just said though. Like it doesn't get better with each one.
Yeah, that's true.
Um, man, I would have to really think about that because then you got to talk about like actual trilogies, right? Or something to that magnitude or more. I mean, I'm not into the Fast and Furious franchise either, so that's another one I wouldn't dive in. But I
I
don't
would
think
say
that
it's gone
happens.
downhill.
Yeah, same thing with probably even like what was it called, the Expendables? Like it seemed
Oh,
like every
yeah.
everyone got more and more celebrities and just got like worse and worse, but people just kept watching it because it was bad or something. I don't know.
Well, the Expendables was weird because it went from okay to good to eh. The second
Gotcha.
one was definitely the best one.
Um, yeah, I would really have to think about that. Not only think about it, but then also um, sell it to get an agreement that they are gradually better. I can't really think of anything, man, off the top of my head. But maybe I'll put that on my homework assignment.
Yeah, but I was just looking at all the media, like all the movie shows, like
Yeah.
what was it called? Shadow and Bone season 2 came out. Apparently, that's a really hype show that people are looking forward to. Apparently, Avatar: The Last Airbender is getting like a live action adaptation that people are looking forward to. So there's like a lot of things on the near horizon that are just probably gonna blow up the internet for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, with COVID, putting a lot of things on hiatus. Not to say this was expected, but like, it's good to see.
So the
Good to
question,
see.
so another follow up question that I want to have because we had 2022 being a fantastic year. 2023 seems like it's really stacked with all the games, movies that we're seeing. Do you think this was obviously because of COVID? We had that little buildup of production. Do you think that this will be the after this year we're gonna go back to mediocre for a while?
I wouldn't say mediocre. Um, I think I think it may dip. But once again, I don't know what is on the horizon for next year either. I'm not looking that far ahead. I'm really like I know we're talking about stacked year of the sequel, and it kind of goes hand in hand. But just like for me personally, like this year is truly going to be the stacked year. Like last year wasn't too much for me. I know you had a lot of good things, and there were some things I enjoyed and watched, but like especially more in the gaming department for this year, like I legit do not think I'm going to have a gaming year like this year that I've had in the last almost 20 years, like straight up, and that's saying a lot. I mean, Octopath was a true showcase of that, right? I still have Zelda, still have two Final Fantasies. Sprinkle up stuff in between. I may now do RE4. Um, there's another game called Trinity Trigger that I reserved. Excuse me. I kind of want to get Tales of Symphonia remastered because I skipped out on that one originally, and I always did want to play that one. There's games for me this year, and that's just games. So we're not even talking about movies, right? Keep talking about Mario movie. Maybe I'll get around to doing the John Wicks. Resident Evil has that CGI new one that probably is coming out soon. I'd like to see that and catch up. New Pokemon anime, maybe I start tiptoeing back into that realm. Who knows? Um, and like what other movies? Like who knows? Something else might just capture me, captivate me.
I know
We
you're
just finished. We just finished The Last of Us. I don't know anything else that might be on the horizon for that, but yeah, the year is still young.
Yeah, I know you asked me what my list is, and I kind of glossed over it. But like, obviously, I said HBO was my or not HBO. Hogwarts Legacy was my number one game.
Hmm.
I'm still looking forward to Starfield, even though it seems like it might be a flop.
Hmm.
Obviously, Final Fantasies are on my list. Tenken, the new Tenken game, it surprised me the most because I don't think they announced it until like the later half of last year. So that came out of nowhere for me. So I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, I would have to agree with you that I haven't had a year where I was extremely, extremely giddy for all the games coming out, like I've
Out
had
of
here.
out of we'll keep this question strictly to games, but out of all the ones that you are going to play this year, not like Hogwarts that you already played, but anticipate to play, even the more popular ones like the Final Fantasy one, for example, which one do you think is going to be like possibly the sleeper for you? That's going to surprise you the most.
Oh man, that's
Like you may already have either zero expectations or some expectations, but you're like, man, this one might blow me away.
if it's gonna be any of them, it would have to be Tenkin. Only
Tekken.
because I think I have a fair amount of expectations for the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was to give an opposite response, I think Starfield will be the one that I'm excited for. That's going to be a complete flop and be disappointed in. Um, I'm trying to think like if there's any other game that's coming out in the near future that I'm like really looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Because Street Fighter, I mean, when you look at Street Fighter, you expect the same thing. You just expect different skin,
Yeah,
but Tekken
yeah.
actually evolves as it goes.
I think um, I think the hype with Street Fighter really is the tournament aspect. I guess the professional aspect of it is why it's kind of stood the test of time. But yeah, I agree with you. Like it doesn't do it for me anymore. I tried with five, and they talk about botching something. They botched the fuck out of that release.
Well, was it because of the online experience or because you didn't like the characters?
The online experience because it
Yeah.
wasn't ready at launch, right? Wasn't that the
No.
fiasco?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like fucking horseshit. I'm like, how the fuck do you release a game like this without having online? I was
Not only that, but
I was floored,
they
and the amount of characters they had was so tiny
well, not only that,
at
but
launch.
they sold 7 different versions of the game that were all different from each other. You had Final Fantasy 5 Gold, or sorry, not Final Fantasy, Street Fighter
Street
5,
Fighter,
Street Fighter
yeah.
5 Gold, and then Street Fighter the Ultimate Edition, and then finally Street Fighter 5 Arcade, which is the best version of it.
I mean, they have a history of doing things like that, but um, five was just the at most or the best botch ever. Like it was just so bad, so god awful.
Yeah, the fact that it took 4 or 5 iterations just for Arcade to come out that became the best version of that game on all systems is silly.
It's very silly. So we'll see what happens this time around. But I mean, I'm not picking it up day one. I mean, I did five because I was, um, I guess you could say looking forward to it. Not like over the moon, but to your point, like in between these fighting games, they've been taking time with. So, so yeah, I was very, 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 very
I wish
disappointed.
you didn't exclude Hogwarts Legacy because you know how I was saying before I was looking forward to that game for a while,
Yeah,
but then when I played it, it blew my expectations
yeah,
out.
that's fine. That's fine. I mean, because I could say the same about Octo. I mean, like, like I said, how giddy I was, and yeah. So,
I'm
I think
glad.
for me,
Good.
oh, go ahead.
All
Oh
right.
no, go ahead. You finish.
All right. So it's funny that we both had games because I feel like this is very rare when it happens where you have high expectations, but
Mm-hmm,
even then it goes past the high expectations.
mm-hmm,
And we
mm-hmm,
both had them the same year, and we usually get
mm-hmm,
disappointed easily. Oh,
mm-hmm.
like that just shows that this is a year for content.
I think so. Like once again, going back to Octo for a second. I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. But like until I got to the ending point, like kind of, excuse me, the sequence where I'm at now, like I was still very happy with it and very favorable. But if I didn't get what I got at the end, my expectation wouldn't be as high as I'm stating it now. So the fact that they kind of put that bow on it at the end really did it for me. Zelda, this is kind of weird, and dare I say, it's now becoming to a point of it might be premeditated. But for whatever fucking reason, I feel like uh, I may end up crying playing Zelda, and I don't know why yet. But
You,
maybe it's because it's the title. Maybe it's because of this title. But like I feel like something's gonna happen where it's gonna get me. Anyways, throw that to the side. This may be an odd thing to say, but I feel like 16 may be the sleeper for me. Like I know that I know, but like I have expectations for it. Dare I even put high before that? But the sour taste that 15 left me, I'm hoping is not replicated. So that's why I'm not trying to go too high with them. But the fact that when they showed the very first trailer and it sold me, and I immediately, I don't know if I shared it with you, but I tried to share with my friend Rob, even though he never watched it. But I was like, man, I got straight up Game of Thrones vibes from that, and I'm like fucking stoked. Now knowing through interviews that they have um, got inspiration from Game of Thrones has me more excited. Um, and there's blood in there and other stuff. So yeah, we'll see. I think that one might actually, um, hopefully, make it more higher than it can be.
I'm
So
gonna
that's
make
gonna be my sleeper.
a counter prediction for you. I think it's gonna
Sure.
be the reverse sleeper, where you're looking forward to it, and it's Final Fantasy 15 all over.
I hope not.
Because if you look at
I
it, the prince is pretty much Noctis. I mean, you
no
got the guard where you see like the guard
no
fight in the beginning, then he gets
no
killed, and the prince
no
slowly evolves through time to become that guard.
no. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think with the limited stuff that they have shown, I think the one thing that might turn me off are the icon battles. Um, I think they look beautiful as shit. Like the work they've done on it and what they showed looks phenomenal. I just feel like they may be let down because they might be too how can I put it? I don't want to say too linear, but um like I just think you're not going to get a lot out of the playstyle from those type of battles.
I'm I'm
But we'll
sur-
see.
I'm surprised you haven't said Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, because I know you were kind of interested in it, because suppose this is like the open world version that you were looking forward to. And I'm surprised you haven't talked about, like, if they do it right, it could be a fantastic. If they could do it wrong, this is
So
horrible.
I believe they've already I'd have to go and like dig into articles or whatever. But if memory serves me correct, I think they've already put the kibosh on that. That it's not going to be open world. It's going to continue to be straight linear like how the first one is. But I am okay with that. I'm okay, and maybe that's the fanboy in me. I don't know, but now that I played through Crisis Core again and then seeing how the remake unfolded, I know a lot of people were upset and still upset as to how they're going to change the story and how it may be too different. Uh, I'm not really caring about that. I'm more now like, okay, you know what? If you want to alter something, um, do it, give it to me, but hopefully it's good.
I'm
Like
surprised that
I'm more open to a different uh what would that be called, a reimagining or whatever.
I think I'm cool with either way, but I think if they don't do open world, that'd be shocking, because the motorcycles are pretty well done in the first game. I feel like they could be done well in the open world version.
Well, open world in the original isn't really, most likely has nothing to do with it. It's more chocobos and an airship.
I know, but imagine like a remaster with the system we have now. You can use those motorcycles in the open world.
I mean, I'm not against it.
And you can
Like
have actual vehicle combat where
I
Cloud
just
just swinging his Buster Blade all over the place.
like they mentioned like how big of a challenge it would be because an open world with that type of graphical scale is um
Hard. It takes a lot of
well
data.
yeah, and it's like it's dare they say just it's just not possible. Where I would settle for it to make it possible, and some people may be turned off by this idea, but I would have the overworld not like really really shitty low polygon, but it doesn't have to look like the game looks. Like it could be something less dynamic that you could still go around, but once you land in a particular area, then you load into the high caliber beautiful game that you're known to play in, right? To see. I think that would be one resolution that I would be fine with. I don't know how the average player or the hardcore player would like that.
I was gonna say that one thing they could do is if you, well, I know you didn't play Kingdom Hearts, but
Hmm.
with Kingdom Hearts, they have something called like the Gummy Ship, and when you're traveling back and forth between different worlds,
Hmm.
you could actually play through the travel where you're fighting other ships and all that stuff. But
Hmm.
imagine you have like the cities and villages, all that stuff as like preloaded. You know, once you are there, it's just full scale detection, whatever.
Hmm.
But on your traveling, you're still on your bike and you're going through all this stuff, but you have other people trying to like take you out. Like what's it called? What are they called? Shinra? What's the
Yeah.
company
Hmm.
called? Yeah,
Hmm.
imagine
Yeah.
like
Shinra.
when you're traveling to this place, this Shinra just like pounces on you. You gotta fight him with your
Hmm.
vehicle, and
Hmm.
then once you get to that place, you go through like a loading screen. Then you got your linear stuff again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they could get creative and do things like that totally, and that would be cool. And part of that, you know, getting whatever rammed or getting pushed aside with a battle. I mean, that kind of was part of the original game to the extent where they had the what's called the ultimate weapons.
Mm.
That there was like three of them in the world that you would go and fight for like that were like super hard fights. And if you don't have that open world dynamic, well, then how do you put that? I mean, I'm sure they'll find a way to put it in the game, but like, you know, I'm pretty sure people are expecting those boss fights because they were so legendary. Um, we'll see.
I think
Um,
the boss fights are gonna be changed into summon battles, like we had in the first game.
it's possible. It's definitely possible. Um, but like for me right now, like not to say that the original seven storytelling wasn't good because it was, but we're now getting like this might be a drastic comparison, but like we're kind of getting storytelling to the extent of like actual TV shows
I think we've
to
had that
some
for a
big.
while though.
But I mean, like with the where the graphics are and the voice acting, like it kind of is pretty damn close to it. Speaking of voice acting, always go back to Octopath. Octopath has some pretty fucking good voice acting. I'm just saying, because they're not just reading dialogue. Like some of them are actually like doing the thing. But anyway, um,
I just
well,
want
I
I
just
just want to
reminded myself.
combat that because once again, The Last of Us show just came out, but we've had that quality since 2013 in video games.
I mean,
You could even argue
we
we've
we
had that since 2008 with Gears of War.
okay, but like voice acting so
Voice acting, like actual mocap
voice,
acting and all that
but
stuff.
but there's different like how can I put it? Like yes, you're right. We've been having voice acting games for a very long time, but not to the extent where we're having it for damn near all the dialogue.
Yes, we have.
I think it's different because the games you mentioned are more, uh, dare I say, action adventure. I think it's really different with those type of games, like Resident Evil, for example. You could blow through a Resident Evil game in 2.5 hours. Some people could do it in less. That amount of voice acting compared to, like, I'll just use Octo again. 80 hours. Now you're not getting 80 hours exactly of voice acting, but you're getting 80 hours of content of voice acting compared to 2.5. That's a very big, large fucking difference. It's uncomparable. An RPG voice acting compared to an action adventure game is non-comparable
But
in an amount of hours.
we've had RPG games have had talking before. I'm
But
just saying
not
we've had these.
but but not like FF7 remake. Not in that same. Well, maybe okay. Once again, yes, I've missed out on a few years here. Let me
15
rewind the tape.
years.
Yes, that long. But I mean, like, okay.
Fable, for example, is an RPG with great dialogue. It's been there since 2004.
Hmm.
2007, Fable 3 arguably is the best.
Hmm.
Huge world, a lot of dialogue. Mass Effect, huge dialogue. Massive game, 30, 40, 50-hour game. Loads of
Hmm.
side quests, all voice dialogue, good
Hmm.
acting.
Hmm.
Dragon Age, same thing. We've had them.
Well, I haven't played them. Like I said, I've missed some years. But like they're like,
Skyrim.
well, I didn't play that one either. But like, for God's sakes, I can't even get fucking Pokemon to say their own damn names in Pokemon games. Like, when are we gonna get that? Anyways,
Well, that's a Nintendo issue. You gotta get the
Yes,
DLC for that.
yeah.
It
I'd
is
probably
weird how they went
I'd probably pay for
backwards.
that DLC.
But
Just
like,
to
how do we
look at
go
this.
from actually have? Wait, did we ever have that in the games, or am I just thinking
Only
anime?
Pikachu.
Only Pikachu?
Only Pikachu. Only Pikachu.
No, Eevee. No, I'm wrong. We did have it in video games. It was in the GameCube versions. Pokemon Coliseum and Shadow, and then Gale of Darkness had it. Eevee said his name. Slowpoke said his name. Pikachu said his name, and then there's one more.
But it wasn't the whole cast of Pokemon. We were just lucky to have a few more.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, the ones that we had the most of were oddly enough the ones not from the main series.
Yeah.
Unless
But
we want
anyways,
to count
okay.
Battle Stadium.
So go back to voice acting for a second. Look, okay, if it's been around, my bad. It's been around. Yours truly lived under a rock in Azeroth, as I've been saying lately. um,
So now
but
let me ask this question then. Imagine if you had the dialogue from Octopath in World of Warcraft.
which I don't get.
You wouldn't want that?
No, I'm saying I don't get that. But to your point, like, yeah, imagine that. That'd be fucking pretty sick.
Guess
If
what?
even if you right clicked, well, technically you do get when you right click a guard, they say stuff, but you don't get the quest dialogue. I get your point. I mean, I would welcome it with open arms.
Do you want to know what I say to that? Is if you really want to experience that, Destiny.
Hmm.
You get dialogue and at the same time voice dialogue and acting.
But now in your current radiation, you guys aren't enjoying it, so no.
Well, only the Lightfall story right now
Yeah,
as
yeah.
it is that, but the gameplay is still great.
Gotcha. But yeah, I mean that would be, man, talk about an endeavor. Oof, that'd be huge. That'd be huge. That does sound like an impossible feat.
So what I guess this is kind of going with the stacked year is that during well, maybe it wasn't just last year. I know from 2020 during the pandemic, a lot of shows, a lot of foreign shows like Korean shows, Indian shows are starting to gain more popularity, and not just America but worldwide. Do you think because of that we're also going to see more voice dialogue options in other languages become primary now?
Well,
And when I say primary, I'm talking about like obviously you got the alt, audio versions. Like primary is currently English, but they probably have like a Japanese, German, whatever. But usually the lower quality. Imagine if the game is only made in German or Indian, and you have subdialogues in English. But if you play it in that primary language, it's a better experience.
I don't know. I don't want to say no because I feel like that's disrespectful. But outside of Japanese, I don't see that happening. And the only reason why I could use Japanese examples is because I've already done that. I've experienced like Octo on the mobile is exactly that experience. Everything is in Japanese voice acting. I can't really tell if it's good or not. All I understand is arigato, but maybe it's good. I don't know. So I don't know if like English people are really receptive of that. Like,
I would say opposite. I think because so many people are like me, where they watch a whole bunch of foreign shows
anime.
like the anime or not just anime, but like Netflix, for example, or Disney. They have a lot of shows not in English that are huge, like Squid Game, Alice in Borderland, Physical 100. There's a lot of shows that are introducing people to like different languages, like Narcos, for example, only in Spanish, but people love it. I just feel like people have
I mean,
gotten more accepting of other languages than just being English.
yeah. I mean, until we see one, I guess we'll get our answer. But the way you presented it, it's kind of a little bit more surprising that it hasn't happened yet. To be honest.
But would you like it? Like, imagine if Octopath, the primary language, was just Japanese for the console versions, not the mobile one.
So
Would that
so
enhance your experience or lower it?
If it was the first version of said game, I think it would have to be a very hard sell for me. But I'm not against it. Another reason why like the mobile one doesn't bother me is because, well, I've already experienced the first one, so I'm already acquainted with the world through the English language and its characters. So now that I get one that's primarily in Japanese, doesn't bother me. However, if it was the first version, the first game, um, I don't want to say it would be a turn off, but it would be a hard sell. I think I think selfishly to have it in my own language um, makes it easier.
You actually brought up a great point that if it starts off that way, you can get adjusted to it quicker. But if you have the other way around, did you just go with
Mm-hmm.
English?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how I was with the Yakuza games. Usually, I choose everything in English just because you don't have to read; you just listen to it. But the
Mm-hmm.
Yakuza games, because it started off in Japanese, I prefer the audio in Japanese and just read the subtitles.
Yeah. So I feel like it's an acquaintance thing.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
yeah, like
another game. That's the game I forgot. Like a Dragon, Ishin or Ichin, whatever the name is. That's another game I'm looking forward to, and I think that game is gonna be better than I think it is.
okay, okay. I thought of something that hasn't been announced this year. At least I don't think it's been announced this year, and I don't know if there's going to be one. But I would almost be wanting to play a Monster Hunter game if one were to come out.
So, which are we talking about? Monster Hunter Worlds or Monster Hunter Rise?
Probably Worlds. I think Worlds was probably better, even though I didn't play either one of them. But
I think
um,
at this point in time you're too late because they're dying out. If you
well, that's
want
what
to,
I'm saying. If there's a new one, is what I'm saying.
I don't think there's gonna be a new one.
I don't think Capcom's done with it. Dead
I
IP.
I think they realize that the single player is the way to go for them. But if you want
Oh,
to try a Monster Hunter like game, there's a game called Dauntless. Kind of the same thing. It's just more how do I say it? More narrow, I guess. Like you have your hub world, then you go out into like these battle arenas and you fight monsters up to 4-player co-op, and they come back. Same thing as Monster Hunter. It's just not as more open world-ish like Monster Hunter World.
gotcha. Yeah, I kind of feel bad that like I mean I know they were successful, but I guess now it's died down and no longer successful. But it just wasn't I guess an IP that got like super popular,
I
and I
think at
think
the
that's
time
tough.
they just it was a great IP, bad timing because like I said, they had Dauntless, they had other BR open world games, and then also they try to go into a market with Destiny. Like Destiny has already owned that market. They should have kind of like advertised themselves away other than that and stuff like an
Mm,
MMO. I think that's where they
yeah,
failed.
yeah. Plus it's Capcom. I
What's
mean,
wrong with
I hate
Capcom?
this shit on Capcom, but they're kind of bad.
They've had nothing but praise like the last 4 years, 5 years.
Well, I mean, thanks to I keep saying Resident Evil, but like, I
That
mean,
really is Resident Evil.
yeah, but like, and that's the thing. Like, they're getting the praise for recycling their IP, which I know Nintendo did. Stop. I know. But they're doing it in the right way though too. I mean, you're giving you're updating your product to like superb quality. But like I said, I would love to see something new from Mega Man. I would love to see something new from well, I just said Monster Hunter, but like man, what other IPs they have that are missing? Um did I bring up Onimusha a while ago? I think that was their IP.
You probably did.
Um yeah, like I mean they have things that are just collecting dust that do not need to be collecting dust.
I love how you knew exactly where I was gonna go.
I
Where
knew you
like
were. Yeah, I knew you were.
they
I
recycle their
knew it.
IPs, and then you're like, Nintendo does too. I know.
Yeah. It just immediately like shut up, Josh. Let me get the point out.
But no, I agree. Like same thing with Activision too. They like do as much as like Call of Duty. They do the same thing with that. They keep working
Yeah,
on Call of Duty when they have all
yeah,
these other franchises. So I don't know. I guess I agree with you that Capcom they show love to the only one franchise and completely beat the other ones to
well,
oblivion.
yeah, and I mean, Street Fighter is obviously another big gravy train for them, but like, um, I feel like they don't really do that one justice either.
Yeah. I feel like well, like we were talking about earlier, they put too much faith in the community to hold it up for as long as they can. And I feel like that's horrible to treat your community like that, where they're like, "We'll put this out. We know what you're gonna do with it, but we're not gonna give you any added features except for
I
skin."
think where this one they might be super successful with is that customization aspect. But it depends on how well it's developed, I guess, because it could strike like a huge like surplus of like play. I don't know.
This is gonna be like the weirdest segue into like topic number two. But
Uh-huh.
was Street Fighter Six? I'm pretty sure you've seen the character models, right? Especially the female ones.
Some, yes. I know the big one with Cammy was making its waves, and I'm like, eh, I prefer old Cammy.
I love how whenever it comes to like 3D animated women, they like if it's a character in a video game and they're attractive, it immediately goes to porn.
Oh, now that I didn't notice, but it doesn't surprise me one
Because
bit.
I seen things on Twitter and then I seen like people like, oh yeah, if you want to see more, go to Pornhub. And I'm like, what? They have that already? They're like,
Yeah,
yeah, we
no,
animated it. I'm like, wow. I'm like,
yeah, there's no time wasted there.
no time. Like they did that with Overwatch. They had all their characters on there. Now apparently all the Street Fighter characters are on there too. And I was like, hey, I guess they knew what they were doing when they're animating. They knew their clientele.
Yeah, I was about to say there definitely is a base out there waiting for that. So
They made her stacked. Like whatever baker made her baked her cakes correctly.
it's funny because once again, always going back to Octo, they have one. Well, they have multiple female characters, but one of the main ones, they surprisingly made her stacked, and I didn't see the necessity with it. But,
It just
whatever. But like you said, it's kind of anime-ish, so that's what they do. So,
big old
but it's just the
titties.
one. Like the other ones are just normal, but the one like her tits are just like obnoxious. Like they don't need to be that way. It's a fucking 2D HD game. Like the
I,
artwork doesn't have to have huge tits.
I love how like cartoons and video games sometimes overemphasize like female parts,
Uh-huh.
which is kind of funny that they do that. Like remember the old Mortal Kombat games? All the
Yeah,
female characters were always stacked, and then obviously
and
as it
and
progressed, it went down.
massive cleavage. Yeah,
Oh, not just massive; they were like pretty much hanging out there, like the
yeah.
very skimpy dresses. I was like,
And even though Killer Instinct didn't really have the polygons to kind of like showcase in that manner, but what the hell was her name? Orchid. Her fatality was flashing her tits. Like it's like, yeah, it's always existed.
I. It's just funny how like I always say this because I'm not a feminist, but I'm like I can understand why girls hate these games.
I like, do they though? Like, I
there,
mean, maybe.
there's half of them that don't play video games hate it, but the ones that do seem to like it because it's
Yeah,
a
that's what I was
norm.
going to say. The ones that don't play are the ones that it's almost like that A/B conversation. Having grade. It's the C person that gets all offended. Like it's the same shit.
But then
I mean, because if anything, a lot of these like hate that they don't like being labeled gamer girls, but a lot of them like emulate that shit. They cosplay it and all that stuff. So
at the same time, I ask myself, I'm like, if they did that with male characters, would I be offended? And I'm like, no, I wouldn't, because in Dragon Age, in Dragon Age Inquisition, they purposely enhanced the male parts to the point where they're comical. Because there's like a certain scene where the guy walks
who's
out
bulge?
and it just swinging around like an elephant trunk. And I was over here dying laughing.
Oh,
I'm like, whoever
so
made
like
this never seen a real guy.
right? Not only that, but like the thing, the point I want to make to kind of piggyback that is like uh I think, dare I say, the difference between men and women in this capacity is, except for that aspect, because a man can't, well, unless you go get surgery, you can't really attain that. But like me, I'm obviously into wrestling. Like, some of that too is
That
also
was a
like, some of
horrible
it is like,
transition.
no, hear me out. It's like some of it is actually like inspiring or something like a man would want to attain to. So I mean, same thing I think with some characters.
No, I'm saying the transition was funny. We were talking about a huge male dong, and then you're like, well, I'm also into wrestling. And then
Oh, okay.
and
It
then
went
you're
over my
like,
head.
sometimes you like when they wrestle each other.
When they're swinging their flipping trunks instead of their
When
fisticuffs.
they're knocking each other out with their trunks. But hey, it's 2023.
Like
People are into anything.
that's a weird chokehold if I've ever seen one. Where'd he get their arm?
His wrestling name is Dilly Dangler, the One-Eyed Strangler.
Oh shit! All right, sir. How about we move on to topic number 2?
But yes,
Uh,
going into that weird transition. So recently on Netflix, going into media, this one shot out of nowhere. I'm into documentary
you said
series.
shot.
Yes, but there's a documentary series called Money Shot: The Pornhub Story. I clicked on it because obviously curiosity got the better of me. I'm like, okay, what's this about? Why are they making a story? I thought it was just about, mostly about, the porn industry. And I was like, okay, well, let's see what they're talking about. This show is surprisingly informative. They try to make it explicit, but it's more about like a parent company owning like these sub companies like Pornhub, X videos, and all that stuff, and how these big corporations like MindGeek can basically market these videos and spread them out through all these different platforms and make all this money, and then also basically use a pirating company, these two companies, and turn them into multi-million-dollar places. Like, let's be honest, Pornhub was the original like Pirate Bay or LimeWire. They just somehow turned into a business and became acceptable.
Well, this may sound odd coming from a guy, but I don't. I the way I'm saying this is also going to come out wrong. But let me get this out. I didn't watch porn to accompany, I'll put it this way, accompanying the rise of Pornhub. Like I don't know its origin story, and like you're talking about it being a pirate in like a LimeWire or Kazaa or whatever, fucking Napster. I didn't know that. I don't know that. I thought I mean, I don't know what I thought. I just know, like, I remember friends saying like, "Oh, you don't know about Pornhub?" Like, no, I don't know about Pornhub. Oh, you get it all for free there. Like, oh, I like that. And then I started going to Pornhub. So, but like,
You were just reading the old magazines.
I still have a couple, uh, but they're autographed. Yeah. So like, it's very interesting. I think the part that dare I say baffles me is like the aspect of how the money is made, because like dare I say like they're doing it for free, but like it's like now it's really kind of like almost user submitted based. Like it's a lot more amateur than ever, especially when you talk about the likes of like OnlyFans and stuff, right? Like not that they commingle, but like you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know where the revenue comes from, because like
Well, here I can get into that. So with
it's like, "Wait,
this,
wait, look, I got the answer because I watched it, so I know."
well, I did technically
Yeah,
I
I know,
do
I know, I
because of
know,
this.
I know, I know.
So as I was saying before, they originally started off as like Pirate Bay, LimeWire, where
Okay,
people go to like these paid productions and just re-upload them onto here so people can get for free.
correct,
And
correct.
they I guess the production people realized they couldn't combat it, so they decided to partner up with this MindGeek and that owned all these tube
Mm,
sites. And
mm,
so they created users, like these verified channels or whatever. And then because of that, they allowed subscription services. You pay for the membership, blah blah blah. But because of that, there's more drama that revolves around the re-uploading. So that's why they had to like lock down on verified users versus if you're not verified, you can't upload at all because they're afraid of piracy.
mm-hmm.
And they're also talking about how marketing works. So they were getting into details also about like how they have to create titles or certain tags you can't put. They also talked about search engine optimization where they try to get PHub onto like the top 6 searches of Google, so you can always click on them compared to their competitors. And when I was hearing this, I'm like, this is not much different than YouTube or Twitch. You have to have your titles. You have to have your your SEOs. You have to have proper descriptions or clickbait descriptions. And I'm like, it was at first I was like, people judge them, but I'm like, if you're a YouTuber streamer, you're not much different. And then obviously, the stigma that comes with it that, they're just doing this, but some people actually treat it like a real job. Like they reply to their fans. Then they got to work on laws like Section 230, where they go into child trafficking, because obviously it's things like that happen on the site where they have to purge all that stuff. And with 230, if you're affiliated with a site that does that, you are at jeopardy to not get paid because you're not trying to combat this trafficking that's supposedly happening. So there's a lot of things in
Oh,
this.
so in other words, they kind of come together as a community to combat that type of issue, right? Is kind of what you're saying?
Well, the actors and actresses try to
Yeah, yeah,
combat it, but
yeah.
the company MindGeek didn't do any of that. They were basically letting their employees hang out to dry while
Wild
they're
Wild West.
while they're raking in all these monies from all these videos until actual federal legal actions had to be put into place to completely delete these unauthorized videos. And then
Interesting.
also finding out that the person that owns all this stuff, all these different sites, is
Mhm.
actually a Canadian group that lives in Canada. They, in Quebec and a couple other places, Montreal. And because, they're in Canada, they apply to foreign laws, not the US
Mm,
laws. So
mm,
there's a lot of legal things that also happen in the show, too. And then you're also seeing, these actors and actresses talk about their opinion on the industry versus activists that are trying to get this closed down because obviously they think, these things are immoral and all that stuff. And then also more important things like potential trafficking, because there has been the what's it called, revenge porn kind of stuff that gets put up to Pornhub and all that stuff. So they try to take that down. So it's kind of
mhm,
like this interesting back and forth of legal versus tech versus marketing versus the dark side of trafficking.
mhm,
It was interesting. It was an interesting watch. It wasn't what I was expected. It was more
mhm.
informative than I thought it would be.
Yeah. Um, I heard about it, but compliments to sports talk radio that I listen to on a daily basis, and came up on their show, and I was like, I immediately was kind of interested too. I haven't kind of watched it, but I was like, it sounds kind of interesting. Kind of based on your description, kind of resonated on what they said. So, but it's just like initially when when you see our graphic or you hear about it, you immediately giggle like a schoolgirl, like oh, what's that gonna be about? Um, but it actually is kind of like um, an informative doc, so to speak.
Hmm.
Um, and will I watch it? Maybe. Maybe it's actually not even on Netflix anymore, and it's actually on Pornhub itself.
No, it's a Netflix exclusive. It has their stamp on it.
Oh, come on, people! Like you said, they
No,
re-upload it and
Netflix
everything.
is one of those companies that if you re-upload their stuff, they will strike you immediately.
Strike you down.
But
Um,
going back to what I was saying, because we've talked about parent companies before. Like I was talking about MindGeek owning like 38 like the sub tube sites.
mhm,
Um, I didn't realize because MindGeek was doing this stuff. There's also these other tech companies like Facebook, with this Facebook and Instagram and then Snapchat and all this stuff.
mhm,
They go through. They have to go through these checks with NVAC, which is like making sure inappropriate things get reported. And then if you're like this foreign company, you can sign up with it, but you don't have to abide by the rules. And then it's kind of interesting how the U.S. government was attacking these people, but yet they didn't realize that these trafficking things that were happening more on U.S. sites than they were on their sites. Like Facebook apparently was one of the huge proprietors towards trafficking people. So it's kind of interesting seeing like the legal stuff of like Section 230 and how people get affected if they report to NVAC or not. And
yeah, immediately I think because this is porn, that it's more likely going to happen there than anywhere else. When in reality, it legit can't happen anywhere. It's almost like suggesting like there's no crime in white suburbs and only crime in the ghetto. It's like no, crime can happen everywhere.
hmm.
Like stop. Yeah, it is really interesting. I mean, I don't really know what what to say, but yeah, it sounds like it's very interesting. At least everything that you've talked about and shared, and I think evidently you probably even gained some knowledge from it.
Yes, I didn't realize. I mean, obviously, you know that credit card companies hold a lot of power with how they, get to censor people. Because credit card companies are afraid to be associated with things like that. That's why Section 230 hit these people harder because if you can't have transactions being processed through these major card companies, no money can come through. That's why when you
Mhm.
heard OnlyFans,
Mhm.
shutting down their stuff because let's be honest, OnlyFans is usually associated with sexually explicit content. There was a time because of Section 238 where they're just going to completely just snap all adult content off their platform,
Mhm.
but then they decide to say 180 they're not going to do that, and because they pushed back, the card holder companies were like, if we remove ourselves from here, we're also losing money at the same time. So because of that reason,
A lot of money.
money talks. They kept on their platform.
Yeah.
But it was just weird
Yeah.
how like if a card company doesn't like you and they just completely remove transactions from your site, they can completely suppress your system.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless they go strictly crypto.
Yeah. But it was also like learning the financial parts of how sites like that work. I was just like, man, this like obviously we're talking about Pornhub here, but like the same thing can happen to Google or like Twitch or whatever, where if
Mhm.
they decide to the site it's a no go, we're gonna hold all processing. The whole site can immediately die out because nobody's making money on it.
Yeah. Just like let's even well, Twitch is obviously somewhat heavily involved with gaming, but even take a step further to legit gaming, and we've talked about this on the podcast before, like the gambling aspect of like loot box and stuff like that. I mean, that's another avenue where if the government wants to get involved and hold hands with big card companies and banks to say, you know what, pull the kibosh on this, don't allow any transactions. That'd be one way of killing that type of venture as well. Now, of course, they'll figure a way around it, and they ain't gonna lose money, but they could kill it. So yeah, that's it's very interesting.
Yeah, and oddly enough, this thing also gave me more sympathy for these actors and actresses, is because like when they said how they feared for their job, I'm like, obviously when you think of porn, you think of it as simple, you're just having sex, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, at the same time, like if I was like a successful YouTuber or Twitch person and they were withholding my payments, I'd be pretty upset too. Especially if there's laws and stigmas going against it. Especially if
Yeah.
you're just trying to be consenting and doing what you do in a protected environment. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I kind of understand where they're coming from now. And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It it turned my mind in a weird way. I wasn't expecting the watch I was expecting, but of course, obviously, there's still explicit stuff in the show. Like
Mm-hmm.
they showed some adult actress doing stuff, and I was like, oh, so it's like informative but not informative.
Yeah. No, it does sound very interesting. Like I might probably have to give it a watch. It's gonna sound like a horrible comparison, like a lot of my comparisons, I guess. But there's a doc that actually I don't know if I still own it somewhere. And it's called Bigger, Stronger, Faster, and it's about steroids, and kind of
Bigger,
revolved
stronger,
mostly.
faster sound like something else too. I
It
mean,
does,
you did
right?
talk about wrestling.
It's what's why I'm segueing. It sounds like, but the primary part of it was with wrestling, um, and like Hogan using it, and all these other people using it, and then but it was like very informative and as well because it taught you about, well, obviously steroids, but like then they just like turned it into just cheating in general, and how other athletes cheat to win, like Lance Armstrong, the cyclist, for blood doping. He would blood dope, so he had more oxygen levels and would be able to win his races more easier than his opponents. Tiger Woods, he had LASIK surgery to have 40/20 vision for the game of golf. That helps your game. So like cheating, like why was cheating acceptable in certain sports when, even though not people would know that type of knowledge because it's, I guess, not considered common, but athletes cheated. But then in this avenue, and also baseball, they talk about the baseball steroid thing a lot too. It's like
like Babe
how,
Ruth.
no, not Babe Ruth, the McGuire and Sammy Sosa days and stuff, Barry Bonds. Um, you know,
Let's talk about
it's
Babe Ruth, but that's besides the point.
Maybe, but I'm not gonna. I could care less. That was way before my time. Um. So yeah. So like how is cheating acceptable in these avenues, but not in these, right? Um. So anyways, I thought that was an interesting doc. This one does also sound like an interesting doc, despite it revolving around porn. But no, I mean, I don't say that like in a demeaning way. Like it's like, it doesn't matter that it's about porn. Like as long as it's informative and you gain something out of it that's non-relative to porn, then you could apply to like how we're doing things. I think that's good.
There was one thing in there that I thought was hilarious. So I don't
Did
know her name.
somebody
It's
choke?
no, but it's something that we've talked about, especially with Chris Renee. Um,
Uh-oh.
it's dick rating.
Dick rating?
Yeah, where you know how Renee said she wanted to go to Reddit and then she would just people guys would ask her to rate them.
Oh, rating. I don't know why I was thinking like rating.
No,
Like
rating
rating dicks. I'm like,
like
what's a dick rating?
5 out of 10 or whatever.
No, rate. RATE. I'm following you now. Okay,
Yes.
continue.
So there's a actress that does this on OnlyFans where she gets paid where people send her pictures
Hmm.
and they ask her to rate what they have. And I'm
Hmm.
like, Renee might have been on to business plan here. Like the fact that she's getting paid just to rate other dudes' stuff, I'm like,
If you're
hey,
cool
money's
with it,
money.
if you're cool with it, like I said, it blows my mind that I guess if you want to say as a society, but like that how, as the term is, simp men are, how simpletons they are. It just blows my mind, and I don't blame women for exploiting it. Like I seriously, not that I'm blaming men. I'm just like I'm baffled. Like I guess it's no different than strip clubs, right? I almost would like prefer men go to strip clubs more now because at least you're getting a female body grinding on you versus throwing money in a virtual platform and getting absolutely nothing except your name on a fucking whiteboard. Like it's just stupid to me. And I was never a fan of strip clubs. And have I gone? Yes, I've gone to strip clubs, but I wouldn't blow money. Matter of fact, I would piss off the strippers. They'd come to my table. Are you like, nope, I'm just here to enjoy a beer and chill with my friends. Well, why don't you stay at home and just watch porn and jerk off? Because for $1, I could just go to the pole and get tits in my face. Like, what? So like, I would piss them off.
The
Um,
way I was saying that you would anger them is by you tossing just pennies at them. You're like, yeah,
it's
once.
like I don't make it rain. I make it hail. And start shooting them. Um, so yeah, like I mean,
Uh,
once again, to each their own. Um, I feel like uh, I don't know, like I guess it's just like dare I say it's like a drug, right? You get addicted and Lord help you.
yeah. See, this is the one thing that I think I struggle with because maybe because I'm just too detached from that stuff.
Mhm.
Like, I'm not saying you are either, but like, I want to understand like the mindset of like, are you just down bad, or you just want it for like the compliment? Like, why do people like
Oh,
send
like
that
if
in?
to get your dick rated?
Or just like anything, like donate to a chat just to
I,
get your name read out and stuff.
well, okay, so I've had this conversation with one of my friends
The one that
many
simps.
times. No, no, no one. The only thing I could think of is there is that element of control, right? Like you are in that moment, you're in control of her.
I so it's like
Because
false control.
you're having her to put your name on a board. So in theory, by you giving money, you controlled her in that moment. It's a weird thought process, but that's the only thing I could think of.
I guess that makes sense. It's a weird thing of control because really you're paying and you're
I
losing
know.
money, so she's in control, but you're getting your false sense of control by you doing an
Exactly.
action.
Exactly. That's the only thing I could think of outside of just being a simp.
That makes
That's the
sense.
only thing I could think of.
Because like I was like, man, I know I've been down bad before, but I've never been desperate like anything like desperate enough to do anything near that. I'm like, I wonder where people want that.
Well, when you say desperate, you mean desperate as
Like,
being
oh,
on this end.
I gotta type and
Yeah,
get all that stuff. I've
yeah,
never
yeah.
been to
No,
that
no.
point.
Yeah. Me either.
But
me
there's a
either.
lot of guys that do that though. That's the weird part.
I
And I,
I I know that. I know that, and that's, dare I say it's scary? Like it's once again, it's their money, or maybe it's their money. I know sometimes it's kids taking their parents' cars, which is even more god awful. But um, it's their money, man. Like it's just not how I would use my money.
yeah, but it's kind
And
of
like
weird
I said,
going.
I
Go ahead.
oh no, I'm saying like and like when it comes to the opposite side, like some people, throw shade at the women that do this, right? Like like, oh, you have no shame or blah blah blah, and it's like,
The guys are worse. They throw money because they have
well, no,
less
not
shame.
only that, but it's like, fuck it, like these girls get to stay in the comfort of their own home, where it's the most secure place ever, unless you get those really crazy weirdos that will, you know, fucking do what they do on the internet to figure out where you live. Now, that's fucking scary. But they get to do it in the comfort of their own home. They're like, they will probably absolutely hate this comparison, but in all reality, it's no different than the stripper. And the stripper goes out and like, I think that's more scarier to go out and do it than staying in the comfort of your home and doing it. And unless they do OnlyFans and actually do get naked on Twitch, they don't have to get naked,
It's funny.
and they're making a killing.
That's the
I don't
argument that
disparage them at all.
these actors and actresses say on the videos that when they get to make these videos, they get to choose when they do it, the partner that they do it with, and they could say no, it's all about consent, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and it's different in our era now that exists versus like the 70s and 80s, probably even into the 90s. Being honest, like I'm sure there probably are. Unfortunately, there's probably still girls getting drugged up and this stuff too. But back then, that was more the norm. Like, uh, it probably started off as consent, but then like a lot of them were getting drugged up and um, you know,
but
sad. But
going back to one thing that did fascinate me the most, besides the tech
mm-hmm,
business and marketing, is
mm-hmm,
the legal part. Like I was talking about Section 230, and there's also like this constant debate from the actors and actresses saying that they want more freedom, while at the same time there's the other side saying they want more restrictions. And when I was watching, I found myself like on both sides, because like obviously when you go to Twitch, you see some people that just get like really wild in the chat, harassing people, whatever. But at the same time, they're harassing, but they're supporting that streamer to give them money. So I'm like, should there be some restriction? Like, should there be like a moderation, or should we just keep it free? Like, I
I
don't know.
think it boils down to the, dare I say, label it this way, but I guess it makes sense. I think that boils down to the entertainer, because
With the
how are
business,
you?
that there's risks. Like, are you saying that?
I'm sorry, say that again.
You're saying because it's just the nature of the business, that there's risks if you come into it. Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, there's always assumed risk. I mean, even, let's be real, we're like, well, I'll just say for me, I'm not fucking popular, but every risk that a streamer that has 100K views, I technically still have myself. All it takes is one person to be a fucking really crazy ass weirdo and like looks me up and tries to do harm. Except I guess a person with 100K people have 100K potential weirdos, and I just have one. But nonetheless, that um, that could still happen, right? So like, I think in regards to what you're saying is, or what I'm trying to say based on what you're saying is, whoever that entertainer is, it's up to them and dare I say their moral compass. Even though no one's like, yeah, I know this person's feeding me money, but they're being a dick. Well, where do you stand on that? Are you gonna put them in their place because they're being a dick, or are you just gonna be like, well, I don't care because he's giving me $2,500 a month? Like it's up to that person.
But I think another part to this that I'm trying to say is that
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about how kids get their parents' credit cards, and
Yeah.
obviously during that aspect, it's 100% the parents' job to what you call it, monitor what their kids are watching. That's why I
Mm-hmm.
think that the government shouldn't be allowed in that. But at the same time, I think there should be a rule where if you go to Twitch, there shouldn't be any of that content on there because it's associated with gaming. While if you want the other content, you go to these specific sites. I think there should be like categories where you need to go to, where it shouldn't be easily accessible to just anyone. You know what I mean?
I do agree, and I think once again we may have talked about that in the past too, because I think they were entertaining that idea of like Twitch after dark or some crap like that, where that type of content can only be on after hours or whatever, from now until 4 a.m. or something. I don't know.
Yeah, because like when
Um,
you go on Twitch, like one of the stupid features is, like I said, no hate to the person, but like top of the page, you go log onto Twitch on desktop or mobile, hot tubs right there,
mhm.
and it's all people. I'm like, if you're a kid looking for games and you see that there, you're gonna
Yeah.
be more enticed to go that because you're
Well,
curious.
not only that, but I thought they fixed stuff like that. They haven't. I thought they kind of like they didn't remove it, but they tried to. To your point, it's not the top thing, but it's, dare I say, hidden. But you know what I'm saying?
It's
Like,
a company; they'll sneak their way up there to clickbait. I've seen it on front page before. They probably surprised the amount of times it goes up there, but because it is something that people watch, that it happens on the front page still.
now let's be honest. Play that. Let's play the honest game. Did it mysteriously pop up, or did you actually click on someone that was on that once out of curiosity? So therefore, due to the algorithms, your next visit or next X amount of visits, they kind of put it in front of his
The
face.
only time I've ever clicked on it is usually when it's related to a clip I see on Twitter of like drama, and that's the only time I've ever gone to something like that. Other than that, whenever I see it on my page, I never click on it because it's not for me. It's not my content. If I wanted to see that, I would go to a different site. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So if my recommendation is going to pop up, it should be on the other side, not on Twitch.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't think I've had that problem or cared to realize that I've had that problem. Um,
But also, Twitch has a feature called Discovery. It pops up in Discovery where it randomly, pops up people on your list.
mhm,
And I'm not sure if it's like related to interest or what you watch. Most of the
mhm,
time, for me, it's not because half the games it suggests I don't even watch.
mhm.
So I
Yeah,
think it's just Twitch trying to push out certain people, and that's it.
gotcha. I mean, probably, but I agree, and I know it sounds, dare I sounds say it sounds like a hater, but uh, I feel like that stuff should be um, isolated, if that's the right word to use, or at least separated.
Yeah,
Uh, doesn't need to be removed, but I think it does need to be in its own company outside of that. But what did we say earlier with the credit card aspect where they didn't want to pull out, pun intended, because they didn't want to lose money? Same thing with Twitch. They know they don't want to get rid of that stuff because
it
they
makes some money.
probably looked at their bottom lines and be like, well, here's our, if we want to stay moral, here's what our losses will be. Do you accept? Do
And
we accept? No? Okay then.
And it's funny, we've had this conversation before, like,
hmm
business interest versus moral interest. And obviously
hmm
the moral interest, or sorry, the business interest is to make money. So
hmm
with these, actions, you're making money, but at the cost of letting people discover. I mean, obviously that's not their fault. People have the choice of discovering, they can click off it, but at the same time, you're letting young people that shouldn't be watching that stuff watch it for free. Like, they obviously put like a 18 plus disclaimer, but they don't have any verification. You just click I'm 18, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't have kids now, but like, man, that got to be tough to try to. I mean, I know me. If I did have a kid, they'll fucking hate my guts because they probably would not have a cell phone like a lot of these kids do. Um, like I understand the. I mean, you could get a certain type of cell phone, right, where like it's just for calls and that's it. There is no internet, right? Probably could do
Well,
that because you would.
that's why flip phones still exist.
Exactly, exactly. So like, um, but these kids nowadays that have the whole computer in the palm of their hands, like that's scary because like you just take the Twitch element out of it, and you go straight on Google or straight on Pornhub the damn selves. Like it's crazy. Like I couldn't imagine being like a first grader and like watching that straight up porn. Like I couldn't fathom that thought, but I know it's probably the norm these days, right?
Yeah. See, that's the problem too. Is like
That's just very crazy to me. Very crazy.
because
Like just to like, I'm not trying to be all philosophical here and shit, but like just the brain development and stuff of like a child and just growing up and to immediately have that enter your brain at a young age, like I don't know, so weird to me.
And that's what you bring up the parenting aspect. Like that's the one
Yeah.
thing that I fear the most is that if you're a parent, you want to let your kids be as free as possible. Also, make sure they're
Hmm.
guided at the same time. And
Yeah.
because of just the age of infinite accessibility, how do you give them freedom at the same time without being like basically a prison ward?
And not only that, but you could, if we want to use prison word again, I mean, you can still even do that to your own child, but they're gonna make friends at school. You can't control what they do. So even if you lock your kid out for certain stuff, they're probably gonna get it and see it from a friend anyway.
It's funny.
Um,
When I was younger, I was very good for a long time. The furthest time I've ever seen anything like that was at school, and it was on the iPod Nano, or not the iPad Nano, whatever the touch iPad was, or iPod.
mhm,
And the kid
mhm,
was like, "Hey, look at this!" And then he like showed in front of all of us. I was like,
mhm.
"Wow, okay, that's cool, I guess." And then obviously, as I got older, I see more people do that. I'm like, eh. It was just weird that the first time I was exposed to that was at school.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people it probably is, right? But like I couldn't sit here and tell you. I'm sure I probably tried to in past conversations, whether it was on here or with other friends, but I couldn't tell you the first time I've seen it my damn self. But all I
Yeah.
know is like the first time I did, I was like, I'll be honest, I was like kind of a little confused. Like, okay, what am I looking at now here? like, okay, interesting.
It's funny how we also all have like different mentalities when it comes to like some people are like extremely fascinated, the other people are just like, it's all right.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, let's take things into perspective too. Like today's porn is far different than like 70s and 80s. So my first was like that, and it's like bush galore, and it was kind of like a turn off if I'm being honest. Like
You're like it's a
I was like,
Wookiee.
I was like, this looks fucking disgusting. What the fuck? Versus like now, it's like well, plus the maturity obviously probably has to do with it too. So man, I don't know. It's a crazy world.
it, it's funny that you said the maturity part because like what you see online isn't what happens in reality a lot of time, and so you expect untrimmed stuff.
Hmm.
That was my first experience with that in real
Hmm.
life.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's how
My
I got used to it.
um my first experience. I mean, how can I put it? I don't think any of my sexual experiences really mimic an actual porn video. However, I don't know if I'm patting myself on the back here, but like I don't think I'm as boring with my sex as like the implication may be.
You bust out the Barney dolls, got into the action figures. You're like, oh, we're gonna go Mega Man on this.
Um, but like my first time was like,
She says,
like
bring the toys out, and you're like, here's Mario.
Wrestle. Um, but no, I think I well, I mean I don't care who sees this. It was for me still probably the best sex I've had. If you want to say coincidentally or ironically enough, but but yeah, my first times with that chick was fucking fantastic. Like we did um just about anything. Cool. Versus some other chicks I've been with were more reserved, were more um dare I say statues.
But
And
because they weren't alive, or they were.
but no, no, no.
Yeah, when I worked at the morgue, they were as stiff as ice. They were cold.
No, what I mean by that is she just freaking laid there. Which, like, I'm not saying like
Oh no.
that's horrible because like man, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna shut up.
She was
I'm gonna
laying
make it
there
sound
looking
worse.
at her watch. She was like, can we speed this up?
I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop right there. But nonetheless, sex definitely is a lot like pizza. There's no such thing as bad pizza. Um,
This is very true.
so there's that. But like, yeah, to your point, like, I guess ultimately you could say we suck, but yeah, usually they don't imitate actual porn videos. So
And I think that's what's funny is that people that only watch that stuff and then they get in real life, they're probably gonna be disappointed.
uh,
Unless if they're
I
into
don't know.
like
Once again, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say like, "Oh man, yeah, I was disappointed last night."
Or
with,
like,
with the sex I had. I don't think I've ever heard anybody
I
say
brought the
that.
nails, the wax, and everything, and they
I
wouldn't
think I
have
think
any of that.
what tends to do happen is people will lie and fabricate and say shit that they didn't do, which, whatever, you do you, man. Whatever makes you feel better. But like,
I don't know. I've maybe because I know some people that are very questionable that they've talked about and they were disappointed. I'm like, yeah, sometimes reality is much different than what you see in like movies or other videos. And I think that's why I say that is because they talk about mass disappointment.
I mean, like I said, it goes like, I guess, experience, right? Like the chick that I was with the first time, I know I wasn't her, or yeah, I knew she wasn't my first. Like, she was experienced, but that was good. It was better for me. And I didn't care.
She was level 50, I was level 1.
Exactly, exactly. And and then, I had one that was not experienced, but neither was well, if we're taking everything for face value here, uh, we both were each other's second. So I just felt that I was definitely more dominant. And even though we were both each other's second, I think I fucked more times, for lack of a better term. So I felt like, even though she wasn't as experienced, I felt like I had more sex, even though it was with one other person. I was able to do the better job.
You
So it
learn
was
from
still
the master.
so, yeah, right. So it was still good for me, even though I said earlier she was like a statue, but like she just didn't do much.
She was frozen in fear.
Maybe. But then, like, after that, like, some were just okay, and then, but to me, at least, thankfully, I guess, there's no such thing as bad sex. So
the
at least
one
I haven't had it.
the one
I
thing
will say this though: I've had bad blood. I couldn't even talk. I have had bad blowjobs before. That's for certain.
I can't say I've ever experienced that, but I will say that um hand jobs are not my thing. I don't like receiving them.
I think they're okay for like the foreplay phase, but just to sit there and get one, no, you
I
start sucking.
Hands are made for many things, but not for that.
No, well, here's another thing. Like, okay, well, I think I'm gonna already know your answer, but whoever's comfortable out there that may be listening to this is for men to answer. How many have actually had a hand job from somebody that was better than you doing it yourself? I would like to see a show of hands, because I'm gonna sit here and say I do it better.
With the very limited amount of people I've been with, I would say I've done it better.
Yeah, but I would love if any other man out there is comfortable and they're listening to this. I would love to see those answers. 'Cause I feel like that may be a majority thing.
And if you know someone that does it better, give us their name and number because we need to test this theory out.
That is also factual, because I want to be very surprised.
We're collecting data for science. We need to
For
figure out
science.
if there's an anomaly out there.
Exactly. So
Man, if you find that person, her experience is like over 1,000. Like she's like, don't worry, I got you. Squeeze, you done.
yeah, that would be very, very interesting.
Or maybe it's not even a she. I'm assuming. I'm saying a she, but maybe who knows? Maybe the only one that could do it better is the same thing. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Don't assume.
Don't assume.
But no, I would agree with that, Simon. I'm not big on just laying there and saying, "Give me a handy."
Because,
Nah.
like, out of my experience, that was like the one thing I had the most. I was like, don't do that.
And I will say this, um, not a fan of anal. I done it, fine, could scratch it off the list, but I don't have to ever do it again unless she really wants it. Then fine, I'll give her what she wants, of course, but I don't care to ever do it again.
You and I are different on that. I like it
That's fine.
only
That's cool.
because the grip.
That is totally fine, man. I'm just I don't have to do it again.
But yeah, moving on from that, like I said, I just found this documentary series more informative than I thought, and then going on with service. Netflix seems whenever they make a documentary series, they seem to like do a really good job. Like they have Don't F with Cats, and a couple other stuff. Like a
Yeah.
lot of crime documentaries. And at this point, Netflix is my only source of documentaries because of how good they're done.
Yeah, I've heard that sentiment as well. Although I've yet to even watch a single one, but maybe this will be the single one,
It's pretty good.
or the first of.
There's gonna be a person in there that I would love to see your reaction when she's on screen because I was like, how do I say it without being mean? I was just like,
You were just turned off.
I was just
That's probably a respectful way to say it.
yeah. I'm just
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
good for you.
yeah. Well, so that's the other thing, right? Like you got to understand that like people are attracted to different things, and there's a clientele for dare I say damn near everything.
Oh no, I 100% understand that, but I was shocked by my own reaction to seeing that. I was
Mhm.
like I just had
Yeah,
that disgust face the whole time. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I want to keep watching that.
yeah. No, I'm with you. I get it. I get it. I get it.
I need to maybe I should like just find that section part and like tell you the timestamp, and I want you to record yourself watching it because I need to see your reaction if you had the same one as me or if you're like, oh, this is I like it.
Is it Blue Waffle Part Two?
Lizzo.
Oh, yeah. Well, there, like I said, there's clientele for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, not for me, but
Yeah. No, yeah, but no, it's worth a watch. Like I said, it's oddly informative, more entertaining than I thought it would be.
cool.
But moving on to topic 3, because I don't.
Topic
I,
three.
maybe this is why we got censored for other episodes because we said something like this, and that's why 7 of our episodes are removed. But
Because of what?
because we have topics like that, and yeah, obviously credit card
Oh,
companies they remove it.
oh yeah. Well, whatever. I'm
But
sure there's, to your point, there's so many other podcasts out there that talk just as, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, can't think of right now, but probably talk the same shit, if not worse, of the shit that we talk about, or
yeah,
align
but
themselves.
they got the reach. We don't have that reach to save us right now.
Yeah, that's true. I guess. Yeah, they probably got lawyers too.
And that's the thing
Uh,
that sucks about doing this is when you want to have open discussions, you're also afraid
yeah,
at the same time of just being completely banned from everything.
it's true. But I think I'd rather die by my own sword than somebody else's. I guess if that's a real analogy.
Or you impale somebody with your sword.
Well, that would be fun too.
You're like, take this Excalibur, I'll bury it in your stone.
Never to be removed again.
But our
Uh,
third topic is The Last of Us, the season finale recap. Did you
the
finally watch?
the Last of Us conversation probably until the next one. And the answer is yes. I watched both episodes. How do you want to begin?
So let's start off with episode. What was it? Episode 8. Was that the second to last one?
Correct. Correct.
Let's talk about that because I was super vague last time, so we could talk about that one because I was happy that it showed more of what I know of Joel and his brutality and his just straight to the point, doesn't mess around, just get your objective, get out. That's what I see in
Mhm.
episode 8, and then you also see Ellie become her more survivalist part.
Yeah. Yeah, there was definitely zero remorse with Joel in that episode. Um Man, how do I want to tackle this? Now that I've seen them all, um I still don't know if that's my favorite episode. Like I like it's gonna sound crazy, but that episode 3, man, like just the storytelling, and even though it obviously is tied to Last of Us, but like even though it was totally unnecessary for the entire season, like
And you love your wrestling.
and I love my wrestling. and may have stole the season. Like, was episode 8 great or good? Yeah, for sure. It was definitely one of the better ones for sure. Um, I like me a good um, what's it called? Psycho-religious people type thing situation. I always kind of like those stories because they always end up unraveling the way they're unraveled. Um, trying to think of what maybe I didn't like from it. Um,
So while you're thinking of that, I'll say what
uh-huh.
I liked.
Yeah.
So in the games,
Hmm.
Joel's actually the one that rescued Ellie, and in the
Okay.
show, Ellie rescued herself.
And you like that more?
I liked it more because it
Okay.
fits Ellie's character better,
Hmm.
especially what happens in the future. So I thought that was a
So
good change.
okay. So like not knowing that, like while I was watching, I was kind of anticipating that, right? Like for a lot of that sequence, I was just anticipating, the bullet to come and knock him out and dead, and to your point, she gets saved. And this isn't a bad thing I'm about to say, but like also watching like pretty much her escaping the cage and that whole um, dare I call it boss sequence is that reasoning because it kind of felt very video game-ish.
Yeah,
Um,
hiding and
but
finding your opportunity to attack, and that's what
yeah,
I
yeah,
that's what I was hoping for more, and they showed it
yeah,
in that part right there.
yeah, and like I said, that's not a negative take. But that was like the sensation I got from it.
Hmm.
Um, I thought it was also like kind of cool to kind of also rekindling my Walking Dead memory of like the cannibalism aspect. Um, just all those things that did just make the apocalyptic thing more crazier and severe and but also dare I say it in a very sick way understanding because people are gonna do things to survive
I,
and as
I
this
I will say that the way they did cannibalism was actually smart. They didn't just kill right away. They usually
preserved.
they preserved. If somebody
Yeah,
died, they would use them as food because they're already dead. Just eat them, which makes sense realistically,
yeah,
logically.
yeah.
And then if food got
Well,
really
as
short,
far
then they would select a pick.
yeah, but like dare I say we don't know that to be factual, right? Like they could be.
Well, he said it so himself. When he was
Well,
talking
he
to Ellie,
said it, but yeah, but
but he was
he's
being
also
honest in
he's
that moment though, because he was talking to Ellie one on one when his true colors were revealed. He was like, "Yes, we did it, but usually they were dead afterwards, or they were dead. They were dead before, and we
I
just
mean,
took advantage of what was there."
it's so short. Like I guess it's here's like me being like um, not believing or whatever. But like at that point, like he's really trying to obviously sell her, right? Like so, it's kind of like one of those things like you're gonna say anything to try to buy her in, right? And I almost kind of like read that as because until she saw the ear, right, she was not really knowing about any of that. Like never crossed her mind. Like I thought of it as a sequence where it's like like to my point, he's gonna say anything to try to buy her trust, only to then probably kill her for consumption. Um, I think those are even though like you said, he was being honest that moment. It's another way of reading the situation could very much be true, but like you could kind of read that in multiple ways, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, I thought it was really cool sequence to the other guy. Obviously very skeptical about anything that guy was doing, and then he gets the butcher cleaver to the jugular. Um, yeah, it was just a really good episode. I don't know what else to really kind of come off of it. Like I'm trying to think if there's anything negative.
I'm surprised you haven't
Uh,
mentioned Ellie at all, because I know one of your gripes with Ellie is that she comes off of too carefree and immature. But
Not in that episode at all.
but
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying is that
yeah, it
she
was total oppo.
in life she tries to be
But
as positive as she can, but when it comes down
mhm.
to like crunch time, she's smart. She calculates, she observes, and then when she needs to, she plays her cards right. Like either tries to be your friend to get out, or she'll attack you, and that shows her smarts in in that episode. And that's what I liked about it.
um, yeah, everything you said is correct, and also too, I think when it comes down to survivability, I think everybody, or dare I say, but I want to feel like most people have that mechanism built in, just human nature that
Some
like
people better than others.
some people better than others, of course, but like I that's what I'm saying. I think the majority of like there's that the human nature, that mechanism just kind of like turns turns on. That's like fuck, I can't be that person right now. I can't be that anymore. To kind of co-sign the immaturity part though, and to kind of go against your or your calculated aspect of Ellie. I mean, she did show a lot of it in it, but like going back to just her breaking the guy's finger and pissing him off even more, that wasn't pretty well calculated. Like that was now being her being dumb. Um, so she did show a lot of it for sure, but that was like one moment where it's like, ah, you fucked up. Like you're going good. You were having him eat in the palm of your hand, almost literally, and you fucked it up.
But that also
Um,
shows. I think I'm losing my voice here. I think that's also, well, obviously it is a dumb thing. You play as much as you can, but I think it also still stands true to her character, where she's willing to do what she needs to survive, but at the same time, she's also strong in her belief that if she doesn't like you, she will show you that.
I suppose. I suppose.
But one thing that I was, and see, once again, this can come back to one thing I love and one thing I hate about the show. I love how they showed Joel's like actual true nature right there. But it's
Mhm.
weird how in the show they show Joel, becoming like, I guess, like a passive person to becoming more aggressive, while in the
Mhm.
game he goes from like a beast to a man. When he starts caring for Ellie, he shows more of a human side, versus in the show it's the opposite. When he starts caring more, he's more beast-like.
Um, in that moment or multiple moments, as we'll eventually talk about nine, you're right. But to counteract that, like in episode nine, like he really opened up to the way of just simple conversation, right? And even to the point of vulnerability, um, which he had zero interest in doing before any of those episodes.
Mm.
So the physical part, you're correct. Like he went from fucking to passive to beast mode to some regard, but on the personable front, he went opposite direction. Like he was, because it was Ellie was the one that was more like, um, I guess in a state, dare I say, in a state of shock, maybe not a state of shock, but like she kind of had, she was becoming more reserved after that, and like he was trying to be like, hey, eventually he did like, hey, bring out that joke book again. I need some stupid puns and shit like that. So like, so it was interesting how you kind of seen them segue from each other for personalities. Um, but with that, as I kind of segue to nine, I don't know if you want to just now naturally talk about nine.
We could talk about it.
So that one, once again, like I said, was kind of interesting because how I just stated, like they kind of like took a role reverse where she was super quiet and then he was talkative, um, and had her to break out. But once again, the trauma, right? Like she, um, who knows what she thought was going to happen to her. I mean, all the different things that could have crossed her mind. Obviously, one of them was probably being decapitated. Um, but yeah, I mean that would be traumatic to anybody, and not knowing if Joel would even come to save her, right? So like from her mindset, she was alone. You know, she wasn't expecting that at all. So um, the sequence of the we'll get a very deep dive here very momentarily. I just want to kind of briefly go over the episode. The sequence of the Firefly Hospital, I thought Joel, that thing was pretty badass. Like zero fucks given, no questions, shoot, shoot, shoot. Like it was pretty cool. Um, then what's the chick's name? The leader? I forgot her name.
Marlene.
Marlene. Yeah. Like eventually even took her out. Um, and then the ending. So we'll do deeper dives in kind of the last sequence here. We'll probably get in some good conversation, but I'll let you now, I guess, kind of take over and do your little side.
See, this is the one thing that I wish I was able to talk to Neil Druckmann about, like why he changed Joel from like going from like I said, what you see in episode 8 and 9 of just being him hardcore right there.
Hmm.
Why did he take that away from the beginning when Joel was like that from the very beginning? Like, I wonder if there was like a reason why, because they wanted to show him go from how caring for someone can make you do the worst things.
Probably. I think it really did have to do with a character development approach. I mean, without without showing those episodes like in the last two, dare maybe this is saying it in hindsight, but they kind of hinted towards it through the early episodes, right? Like even you could even suggest it when they had the little dinner with Tess was the the flashback with Tess and the two guys. Forgot their names already, even though I said I liked the
Bill and
episode.
Frank.
Excuse me, Bill and Frank. Um, like his demeanor even there, like they kept sitting away like I can't trust you. I know what you are about. I know what you do, and he's also made references like the killing of people and how pretty much they used to be looters themselves, like because they had to survive. So like the context was there. It's just you just didn't visually see it.
Yeah.
Um,
Like I said, I think if I didn't get the visual part in the actual games, I would have been
uh,
fine. But because I
uh-huh.
got that side of him from the very beginning in the games, I think that
I
was my
think
problem.
I think like even in what was that? Was that episode? No, that was episode one still. Like even just the being so numb to the fact of like just taking that boy and throwing him in the fire is like you think even in that moment there maybe still been residue of him losing his daughter and not being able to throw a child in the fire like that girl did, but like it's so numb about it, like non-caring. I mean, like I said, I think like those hints or whatever were there, but you just didn't get to see them.
But when they showed his true nature, they
But
dialed up to 10 right away.
yeah. Hmm.
That's the one thing I like. But going to episode 9,
Hmm.
I was hoping that they would. Once again, this was a hope. I knew they weren't going to do it. But it was with the Fireflies. Because
Hmm.
I feel like they had a lot of opportunities to talk more about the cordyceps, but everybody made the worst decisions. Like the doctors, they didn't want to do more tests. They immediately want the brain dissection. And I'm
Okay.
like, they should have tested more before going for the kill option. Because I feel like if they did that, all this stuff wouldn't have happened. But at the same time, I feel like lore wise, there's a lot of missed opportunities to explain more of the cordyceps. Because after the first game, the cordyceps go on the complete back burner. Like they're no longer forefront to the story. It's now just survival and human nature. And I feel like that they still left no explanation to how cordyceps are going to be like going forward.
So if I'm collecting this correctly, um, I guess you could say those events, and I guess probably maybe even up to the very, very ending, that was done in true and true to the game then?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess this is where we get into the deeper dive part, right? Like, um, because like stuff that I was reading, because obviously did not play in the game, like, I guess what makes now knowing this story in comparison to the game or what I know of, like that's what makes this game so special because of how it ended and how it created that controversy as to um, what Joel did was right or wrong, blah 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 blah, and how like I feel like you see here's where now we got to be a little bit tricky where you try not to spoil it for me for the next game, but like from my vantage point, like with the whole Ellie situation, it's like um could have she known through Marlene that like yeah, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna die.
Well, they're pretty. They told you right up that they didn't tell any of them. Marlene and the doctor didn't tell Ellie any of that.
Okay, so I know they conveyed that in the show, and to your point, I guess that's the way they conveyed it in the game. But like, I kind
They
of
took the choice away. They never gave her a choice.
well, hear me out. Of course, they're not going to if they want to go this route. Play along with me. If they want to go this route, they wouldn't show you this in the show. But what if there was a back scene where Marlene tells her before she even goes under, "Hey, look, opportunity to save the world. Like she's truthful to her, kind of maybe how she was with her in the first episodes where they held her captive. Because like, and the reason why I'm saying this is because like when they had that scene with Joel and Ellie, when he finally came out to tell her, I tried to commit suicide. Like I kind of felt it's like, oh shit, for me to do this deed is suicidal. So like, it part of me makes me wonder is like, what if she does know? Because now after the events, right, she tells him, "Are you telling me the truth?" And he's like, "Yes." And then it's like, "Motherfucker, you're lying." Because I know the truth. I was supposed to be dead because I'm giving myself up, hopefully for the greater of the world. Once again, this is all theorizing. You played the second one, so maybe this is known and you could poo-poo it. But that's kind of what I'm thinking in all this.
Half is right, half is wrong.
So
How she finds out is wrong, but she finds out.
But so that's kind of what I'm thinking about it, right? So it's like now that creates, if it goes that way, then like I could then assume next or game 2, next seasons or whatever, that creates conflict between them two, and maybe they become enemies. That's a crazy thought, but just that's the things that play off in my head, right? So with that said, with it ending the way it ends, dare I say is anticlimactic, but I understand like how it creates that conversation, right? Like, oh, if you're Joel, would that have been the ethical thing? Well, from his vantage point, based on how we're talking, like his limited knowledge, like if he doesn't know if any of that exists, right? And they're like, oh fuck, you just played this girl and gonna take her life when maybe she doesn't want to die, then he made the right move based on the information he was given. Versus maybe if he knows the truth that it was her choice after all, well maybe now he'd be like, well fuck man, now I fucked up.
So my opinion on this, because how I've always seen it, is both sides are wrong. I understand why Joel did what he did, because anybody that cares for anybody doesn't want the person they care about to die. I understand it. Was it right? No, but you understand it. But at the same time, the doctors were wrong, because they immediately went with the kill option when they decided to not test anything else. Like in the games, they go straight for the dissecting the brain because of cordyceps. But I'm like, you could do more tests. You can do stuff on the brain without necessarily taking the brain out. And they decided to just immediately not go with any other option except for we got to take the brain out now. And that's what I was disappointed in, is that it's that saying, two wrongs don't make a right. You know, that's pretty much what it was. The doctors were wrong, Joel's wrong. Everybody just went off their emotions.
Yeah, I mean it's I think it's hard to immediately say the doctors are wrong because I don't know, I don't understand it from, I know it's somewhat a fantasy, but if you try to um, make the fantasy reality, right? And if you try to apply it, like what are the other options? I know you're saying there has to be other options, and there may be, but like, do we truly know that there are from a professional standpoint? Like, I can't answer that.
But if you're going with the real reality here, if you have one so far out of the whole world, you've only found one immune person. The option would never be kill right away. It'd be test all your options as much as you can. And if you don't get results, then you go with that to see if you can go any further. Because if you kill your subject right away, you will never be able to get any other tests besides that. Because your options are done.
Yeah. No, that part is true for sure. 100%. Can't argue with that.
Because you can't bring somebody back from the dead.
No, you're right. I can't argue with that for sure.
And also, you don't know if you kill them and it doesn't work, then you wasted an immune person.
That's true. That is very true.
But one thing that they did do in episode 9, that I don't believe it was in the games. I don't remember all the lore. Maybe it was explained the lore. But one, we never seen Ellie's mom.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I remember you were very last week. You're very curious and excited to see how they were using that. What was her name? Ashley Johnson chick. Yeah. So how did you like that, by the way? So how do you like that though?
One, I thought it was very fitting that the person that pretty much birthed the character into existence, the voice actress, made it into actual person, was the one to actually give birth to the on character screen for the TV show.
I think
So
that's
I
pretty
felt
cool.
like it was fitting. But
Yeah.
two, they explained her immunity, which we've never understood.
Mm.
She
Put that
Ellie was
umbilical cord.
basically infected from birth. That's how she's immune, because they think it's one of her. And I don't
Yeah.
think you got that knowledge in the game.
Mm. Interesting.
So I
Very
thought that was a cool part that they actually showed how she was immune because the mother was infected and because of pregnancy. Um,
with the umbilical cord.
yeah, and the umbilical cord. That's how she became immune because she had some cordyceps, but because she was still developing, she gained immunity because of that. So now it
So
makes me
basically, the cure for newborns is if you want your child to be immune, you get infected right before they're born. We figured it out, guys. We
but
don't even have to be doctors and scientists. We just figured it out.
this is what's I feel like this episode 9 is potentially going to be a spoiler for the third game because like I
Mm,
said, the second one doesn't deal with cordyceps at all. That's completely on the back burner. It's just all about human relationships, connections, and all that stuff.
mm.
If they go back to the third game, I have a feeling they're going to go back to that scene how another immune person can come into existence and how they can create a vaccine or whatever to counter it. Because like this is the first time we've got any new lore on that, and it was in the opening scene as like an extra, which I thought
Yeah,
was a huge shock.
yeah, yeah. I thought it was really cool too. Exactly how you put it. Even though um, I kind of figured that's who she was based on like previous conversations, but it wasn't confirmed to me until like the post episode. So once I learned that, I was like, okay, that's really fucking cool. Um, and although the way that Marlene did her, I thought was pretty almost like non-remorseful. Like if that was your friend from a, you think you would have had a little bit like
Well,
emotion,
I
like
I actually thought Marlene did it the most realistic way possible because
because she was
she
angry.
no, she didn't want to kill her friend. Obviously, she realized that if she left her friend there to suffer, she would turn and be in pain the whole time. So when
Well,
you
not really.
what
She
when you
should be dead, not really in pain, but yeah, continue.
no, it's like The Walking Dead. You get infected, you get like a really bad sickness, and then you die. Like you're gonna
Oh,
go
I
through.
guess, I guess in that the transitioning to okay, I'm with you. Yeah,
So when you see her go back in the room and you see her walk in fast, she knows that if she doesn't like if she hesitates at all, she's not gonna pull the trigger. That's why she just gets it done right away because she knows it needs to happen, and if she prolongs it anymore, she won't be able to do it.
yeah,
That's how I
yeah.
seen it.
No, I once again 2 times I agree with you. I
Because
mean,
when
but
she
like
walks in, she's crying. Like she walks in really fast, you see the tears in her eyes, and she pulls the
mm,
trigger quickly because she knows that it's the hardest thing she's ever gonna do.
yeah,
That's my interpretation of that scene.
no, it's a good one. It's a good one. But sticking with um, well, theme of the episode, I guess, or whatever. But kind of going off the grid, but in relation. So hypothetically here, let's say, um, let's say you are Ellie, and I guess proposing kind of what I talked about, where like they do tell you like, look, this is what we think, but you're going to have to give yourself up, even though there's no guarantees that they will come up with a vaccine. But they would do tell you up front, you're going to die. Would you be able to give yourself up in just hopes of
So
something like that to come up with a cure for humanity?
this is a complicated part too because I feel like a lot of people would say yes because everybody's goal in life is to have a purpose, and if your one purpose is to save the rest of the world, there's no greater purpose than that. So most
Mm-hmm.
people would take that. I would take that. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, if that option was taken away from me by someone else and I found out, would I be angry? And that's
Well,
what I don't know if I would be angry about.
well,
Like I'd be willing to make the
it,
sacrifice. I just
and I
don't know
mean,
if
and the other option, dare I say, it's um not an option because like if they lie to you, they lie. I mean, you have no, you can't be mad. You'll be dead already.
no, no.
I'm
What
saying,
I'm saying is yes, I would make that sacrifice.
yeah.
But let's say I'm unconscious and then Joel does
Mm-hmm.
what he does and then takes away my option to save somebody.
Oh,
Would I be mad at
oh,
that
okay.
person?
Yeah, yeah. I wasn't asking that, but I appreciate you answering it. But no, it's fine. Like I think I would agree with you. Like I think like if I made that decision, and then knowingly wake up that it was ruined, yeah, there would be fucking huge resentment there. But like if he didn't know, then he didn't know. So like, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to be then really upset.
Well, see, that's the thing is that, like I said, I would make that sacrifice. I would say yes.
Yeah.
But if it was taken away from me, like like let's say somebody I cared about or somebody that cared about me did that, so I didn't die. I don't know if I would be mad at them. I would understand it and be like, this could have saved a lot of people and potentially brought new people in the world instead of having to see this violence. But at the other end, I'm like, I understand why they did, because I probably, if the roles were reversed, I would do the same thing.
Well, like to that point, like I would agree. I would understand. I would be upset, but I think after that point, like I'd be like, look, dude, sorry that you didn't know, but you kind of fucked this up. And it's like, we're good for right now, but if we find another scientist that wants to do this, just let you know it's okay. So like you know what I'm saying? Like it's just like that huge miscommunication thing, and it's like, and to add another layer to this whole conversation, right? Because I've thought about this myself.
Well, what happens if they kill you and there's no cure and you were just wasted?
No, well then that doesn't matter because you're gone already. No, what I was gonna say is, what may have transpired differently if hypothetically Marlene did have the conversation with Ellie, she agreed, and Marlene did relay that to Joel. Like, look, Joel, you didn't know it's coming in, but Ellie did. She knew this from before you left Boston. She just didn't tell you. Hate to say you were lied to this entire time, but you were.
I think the outcome would still be the same.
You think the outcome would still be
I think he'd be more hesitant because he knows what her wishes is, but at the same time, you don't want to lose someone you love.
And he probably wouldn't believe her, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, you're lying to me.
I think that the outcome was going to happen regardless, whether truth be told or not. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, the end result would be the same, but the in between might be slightly different. Like maybe Marlene would have lived.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I thought it was still good. I thought like the ending itself was obviously
very cliffhanger-ish.
Very cliffhangerish and dare I say anticlimactic as well, but I kind of understand it without knowing what happens next. It's like damn, I don't think I've seen a show end that, I don't want to say poorly, but that like just like that.
And it was just a quick ending too. It's like,
yes, it's just like, and then boom, black screen credits. Like what? Like no slow pan off to the sky or something. Like you just
that's what happens in the game though too.
But I mean, well, like you said, they honored it to a T, right? So like,
But the funny thing is, that's what I said I disliked about it, is that it was just so quick that they could have expanded more on.
And believe me, after it happened, I remember you saying that. I'm like, this is what Josh meant. But like I said, I understand it, and it actually enhances these type of conversations, right? And I think that's what they like, and I think that's why they made it to begin with, because that's what it did for the game itself. So
yeah.
So why reinvent the wheel in that case, right? So.
But I will say, if they didn't make a Last of Us 2, the Last of Us 1 ending would have been the worst ending ever.
That is true. So right, so to that point, it's also very, even though you're honoring the game to a T in that moment, it's also kind of risky, right? It probably would if they weren't to do another show, like let's say HBO doesn't greenlight, but I believe at this point it has been greenlighted.
No, it's confirmed. Season 2 is going to be 2 seasons. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
The second game is going to be 2 seasons.
Correct. I know they said that, but I don't think it's really been greenlighted yet.
No, it's been confirmed.
Okay, well, I must have missed that.
And the reason why, well, I think I shared it with you too. So season 2 and 3 are confirmed because they want to prolong it, because they're having trouble deciding if they're going to make a Last of Us 3, because they don't know if they're going to continue after that.
Correct.
But
that too, which is so bizarre because at the start of the season, they sounded like they're confident that a 3 was going to happen. Now it's iffy.
Yeah, but that's PlayStation for you.
Yeah,
Um,
I guess.
but at the same time, the reason why I know it's confirmed is because they were talking about casting and people that they had for season two, and how, as I was telling you, there's a lot of complaint about Bella Ramsey, which I never understood because she's the best portrayal ever on screen. But there was such a huge complaint that they were really, really thinking about replacing her. And then Neil Druckmann said, finally came out in an interview that no, we're not going to replace Bella Ramsey. The only way we would replace her is if she said she wanted to. I'm like, no, you were thinking it, and now you've seen how it played out. Now you're reversing your decision.
Yeah, that I don't know if he wanted her out as well, but
He probably
um,
he probably didn't want her out because, like I said, I think because he's a director, I think he had a good choice on who to cast, and that's who he
yeah,
wanted. It was
yeah,
the other execs that had probably seen the backlash in the comments that were thinking about replacing her,
yeah, yeah,
which is awful that they did that to her because she was one of the best people to be in that role.
yeah. Once again, I didn't play the game, but I'll stand with your testimony. I mean, not knowing how the game is, right? I mean, I just felt like she did good. It didn't mean that I liked all her scenes and how she acted, but that's, I guess, also giving her credence because even if you do a job where you dislike somebody, you're still doing a good job because that's probably the point you're trying to do.
And she 100% nails the character from the video game to the show. Like the
Yeah,
difference is just looks. That's it. Everything else is
yeah.
just spot on
But
copy.
even the looks like it, like I think the issue is,
It's very
um,
minor.
well, I was gonna say this, and it's gonna sound like I'm slighting Bella, but um, she's not the most attractive person in as far as sex appeal is concerned. And I think maybe that's why I don't know. I don't know if people consider the video game version of her sexy. I
Well, hopefully
don't.
not because she was a 13-year-old.
I just people are weird. Just throwing it out there. But that's the only thing I could think of. And
Well, do you consider Ashley Johnson or Elliot Page attractive?
a little bit more.
Because
Yes.
that's pretty much what the character looks like. Like that's what I was saying. Like they could have taken Ashley
But
Johnson and made her Ellie because she still looks young and she's
uh-huh,
small, so they could have
uh-huh.
made her play the character.
Yeah. But like the fact that like knowing now that she was the original one and she was in that scene, like that whole like almost I choose you moment. Like I think that kind of helps. Um, but yeah, I thought like based on the conversation we had, I was looking forward to having those conversations because I thought they were like very interesting ones. Um, but yeah, overall, now we can talk season as a whole. I like it. I would recommend it. Um, I think if when they do the next season, they probably should, if they can, stray away from those off episodes. I mean, they're good, but like I still feel like you need more stay with those characters. Like
And I feel like they're gonna do the exact opposite.
that you would know more than
And
I.
in the
And
worst way possible because from what we've seen from this first season how they diverged in weird ways.
mhm,
The second part is even worse because the, the way the story is told is from two perspectives. And those two perspectives also have a lot of characters in those perspectives. And the way the game does it, it blends in perfectly. It's like side by side, like this character does that character does the other thing, and eventually it comes to a head. But because they already officially confirmed that the second one's going to be split into two seasons,
mhm,
I fear that they're going to focus on one character for one season and another character for another season. And because
mm,
of that huge delay, the story connection is going to be put off.
mm. Or or could the whole second season be split in half in that same capacity where hypothetically 4 episodes is one character, 4 episodes is another character, and then the third season is all the head part.
I mean, they could do it that way, but the only reason why it's an issue is because usually with shows, you have a year gap between, and most people's memories don't last that long for stuff like that. Where a game, you could play 20 hours of the game and your memory is still fresh and all the
Mhm.
story makes sense. But when you have a year separating all three parts, they're not going to care about those certain characters at that point because they're just going to be like, oh, who's that again? And then why are we doing this? You know what I mean?
Mm, I don't know. What if? What if they still say what I said, but they film both seasons at the same time? So they do 2 and 3 at the same time, but they don't release them simultaneously, but they do kind of like one of those Walking Dead releases where it's not a whole year. It's like, hey, we're gonna do like a 3 month vacation and then bring out the next sort of final season.
That could work. I think the way you said it is that they're going to film season 2 and 3 as two different character perspectives, like one off of this character, the other one off of that character, and the third part is going to be both coming together because realistically that would make the most sense and how to put it together linear.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem is because of that, it's the way each part would end that might anger people. Because the first part, the second season, the way that's going to end, most likely is going to anger a lot of people to not watch the third part.
Mm.
And that's the big issue. Is like I said, that year gap can really deter somebody, especially if they hate what happens at the end of part one, leading to part
Mm-hmm.
two,
Mm-hmm.
because of that wait. Like if you thought the ending of this one was bad, you'll see that in the second one.
Mm-hmm.
I,
Okay.
I wish I could explain more, but like there's a lot of events that happen where you're just like, wow, I can't believe that happened, or I'm sad this happened, or I hate that happened, or I'm happy that happened, and they're spaced out.
Gotcha.
That's what I'm saying. The year thing would break it, and maybe they could do 3 months, but knowing HBO, they won't.
Yeah, that's true.
But
All right.
I can't wait till season 2 comes out, man, because the reactions of people, it's gonna be priceless. Because I know it was when people played the games.
Cool, cool. Well, it's probably like another 15 months from now. It'll
Yeah.
be after House of the Dragon. Oh no, maybe it'll get before House of the Dragon. Yeah, we might actually.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder how they're gonna. You know what? As much as I love Bella Ramsey, um, I wonder how they're gonna do the older version of her. If they're gonna like put more makeup on her to make her look older, she still looks really young.
No comment.
Because you see an evolution in the character's like appearance. Obviously, the face stays the same, but the body changes.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe she might get tattoos.
Sleeves.
But yeah.
Yep, that's all I have. And anybody out there that watched the show along with us, leave your comments, your remarks, what you thought. Would you give yourself up for the sake of humanity, knowing that you're the only one that could possibly, not even guarantee, but possibly create a cure?
Also, for season 2, Team Abby or Team Ellie. That's it. That's as vague as I'm gonna be because I want to see if people still change their opinions on what happens in the second one.
Okay,
Just,
sure. You could leave those comments, but I won't read them, Joshua.
no, just say Team
Oh.
Abby and Team Ellie because that's as vague as it can be. You just hear 2 names. That's it.
I'm just gonna say I'm not gonna read those comments. Anyhow, we always thank you for listening or watching the Out of Mana podcast. This was episode 28. And until next time, we bid thee adieu and farewell and good night and deuces.